Take two. You didn't see nothing. You saw nothing. Hey everyone! Thanks for coming. Isn't this audio so crisp and clear and easy to hear? Unlike some amateurs who don't even know how to turn on their mic. Am I right? Let's see who's here right now. Welcome. We got a new member, Keith. Thanks for joining. We also got, let's see, Flo Purdy is here. 안녕하세요. Welcome. Yes, always. That's right. Yeah. I mean, that's what you get when you donate to my stream. Your money goes directly into this equipment. It doesn't go into an operator for this equipment, though. So yeah, thanks for coming, everyone. Let me know where you're watching from today. We'll get started with the lesson in about 17 minutes. Right at the top of the hour, we'll start our lesson. We have a fun lesson. It's for intermediates, but if you're a beginner, you can still participate. I'm going to make this as if you've been here before, you know what I'm going to do. I always try to make these lessons the easiest they could possibly be. Even if we're going to be going over like the most advanced topic ever with like 1,000 Hunta from like the 1400s and it has this origin with this origin, I'm just going to present it to you like, oh, here it is. It's super easy. So this lesson is going to be no different. This is going to be the easiest form you've learned all week. I promise you. We're going to make it super, super simple. But as far as using it in your regular conversations, intermediate level would be more appropriate for it. Florida, waiting on Hurricane Milton. Is it really called Milton? It's not the coolest name. Sorry if your name's Milton. It's not the coolest name, though. Michigan. Teresa, welcome. Keith says, pleasant British accent. I don't know what is a pleasant British accent. I only know a British accent. Good day, sir. Hello, governor. I only know the offensive British accent. I don't know a pleasant British accent. Good day, sir. Maybe something like that. Good day, sir. How's it going there? Good day. I am not welcome in Britain. I brought the troccoli this time. Nice. Did you really make it? Chili here? Does chili, okay, this is a stupid question, but does chili have like food with chili in it? Is it like, I know it's not related to the chili pepper, but like, are there like lots of dishes in Chile that have chilies? So people are like, you got to eat this. And it's like a chili dish in Chile. I know this is a stupid question. This is something I'm too embarrassed to Google, even in incognito mode. I know there's some Google employee that's like, oh, come on, Billy. What are you doing? No, I unfortunately didn't make troccoli, although I wish so. Okay. As well as welcome to, wait, I saw another name. Kai. Yes. I didn't say hi, but I read your message. Let's see. 뉴욕에서 왔어요. Welcome. Strawberry Star. Please, sir, can I have some more? Yes, I actually know what movie that's from. How old is that movie? They can't be that old, right? It's like the 80s, or is that the 70s or the 80s, or is that in the original script for the play? I've seen all of the versions. I've seen plays of it. I've seen the old movie. I've seen like some movies in the 80s. I've seen like remakes of it. Please, sir, I want some more. Can I have some more? More? Yeah. Milton is an old Jewish guy's name, really. What is the guy's name from Office Space? Isn't that Milton too? Yeah. Right, yeah, Milton. Yeah, Milton, played by Stephen Root, who's really great in the HBO show Barry, if you have HBO. Yeah, Milton, that's all I can think about when I hear the name Milton. There's huge grades of salt. I asked for no salt. I believe you have my stapler. I actually have the stapler. My brother got me the red stapler for a Christmas present. It's really good. I mean, just to have a stapler that is heavy, it has some weight to it, makes it work way better than the small ones, which keep getting jammed. The heavy one, it still gets jammed if you try to staple way too much stuff, but it's a lot better at it closes with much more force, so it doesn't get jammed as easily. You have to actually like try to staple 20 sheets of paper to jam it. I actually do talk like that in real life. Rotu. Wait, how do you talk? Do you actually talk like the British? Yo, there's this song I really like. One of the lyrics is 한국인들도 안 쓰는 단어 beware. 이런 게 가득 찬 K-pop은 everywhere. Yeah. I don't think I've heard that song in a long time. 안녕하세요. Welcome everyone who is just arriving right now. We're going to be getting started just in about 13 minutes. Hey, Glass Artist! Glass Artist, you're back. How long were you gone? It feels like months. Glass Artist, back from my travels. I know you've been making lots of glass art on your travels. Thank you so much. Time to crack the books and get back into my Korean effort. Let me give you some dabs. I'm gonna do these quick. I don't want to spend too much time on dabs, so let's do these really quick. Let's see how fast I can do them. I think that was 50. I think that was 50. My arms hurt. I realize I can do them twice as fast if I don't lower my shoulders. If I just move my arms, I can do them twice as fast. Whew. I was counting, but I don't even know if they showed it on the frames. Whew. Thank you so much, Glass Artist. Yes, your donation goes directly toward, if you missed what I said just a couple minutes ago, I'm not sure when you came in, I was explaining that my donations have afforded me some of the best equipment that I can get, but not a good operator for such equipment because I started the stream and my microphone was muted. But none of you saw that, as I said before. Yeah, because if I do dabs, I realize I sometimes will spend like 3 minutes doing dabs on like a large donation. Well, it's fine. You know, the big donations, they deserve the dabs. They paid for them. But I also got to keep them short, right? Because I don't want to take away too much lesson time on dabs. Although either way, it still takes away my ability to breathe normally. So maybe it's kind of the same. Any questions before we get started? Rodu says, yes, when I speak English, I use a British accent. It's just how I learned it. So yeah, I'm an Italian with a posh British accent. If I went to Britain, is that the right? Great Britain. Okay. If I went to the UK, whatever, and I spoke like that, would that be bad? Because a lot of people do this, but I have it more where I adapt the way that I speak to the person I'm talking with and the place that I'm in, I think a little more than other people do. Because I'm just so flexible in that I don't really mind if I'm with someone and they have a different level of energy. I can kind of match it. And I do the same thing when I'm speaking Korean. If I meet a friend who's from Daegu and I don't even do it consciously, but I start like mimicking things that they're saying. And I'm sorry, I'm not doing it on purpose. It just kind of comes out where I'll like imitate their like accent, like the way that they put inflection on certain words and parts of words. And I'll imitate it. And I'm like, that sounds like Daegu dialect. Why am I doing that? I literally just came here today. So I'm wondering if I were to start speaking like that, and go to the UK or somewhere over there, you know, Great Britain, and would that be okay, or would people be like, "What's that bloke over there trying to do?" I don't know what they would think. They probably think you're just okay. We'll only throw a scone if you say bottle of water. I won't say it like that. Excuse me, sir. Can I get a bottle of water? Try to say, what was that other thing? Purple burglar alarm is another thing I heard that people can't say over there really well. If you're from that area, let me know if you can pronounce purple burglar alarm. I saw, was he Scottish or I think he was Irish? Scottish? Oh, no, I can't even remember. I saw someone from over there trying to say it and it sounded pretty funny. I hope you pronounced scone as scone, not scone. Yes. Code switching. Yeah. I'm aware of that. I'm aware that it's called code switching, but I didn't know that there was such a thing until, I don't know, maybe like decade or so ago, that it was a normal thing that people do. I was thinking it was like if you're switching the way you're talking for like when you're in one dialect versus another dialect, well, that means you're hiding your original one. But no, it's just we all talk differently depending on who we're talking with. It's just kind of a normal thing. So yeah, when I'm speaking with my Korean friends from a dialect area, I consciously am trying to just keep speaking my normal way, because if I just relax, I end up talking the way that they do, and it's unintentional. I'm not making fun of them. It just happens. I can't do anything about it. Like they'll say something and I'll react the normal thing I would say, but I'll add that same accent that they're using. And I'm like, oh, please, God, Billy, just stop. Just talk normally. And I just can't help it. Scottish. Okay, I think the guy I'd seen try to say it was Scottish. Maybe it's just a Scottish English type of thing that they can't say purple burglar alarm. Fisho asks, Billy, what do you think about doing tons of hours before speaking, like 1,500 hours or 2,000 hours of YouTube, TV shows, podcasts before practicing speaking? Why? Your question is, what do you think about doing tons of listening practice? Great. Before speaking practice, where's the benefit? What are you getting out of that? I guess my question is, how would it be better to delay your speaking than to start speaking early? Because the point is that if you start speaking early, your pronunciation is not going to be great. But if you start speaking later, your pronunciation's still not going to be great. So what's the point? Might as well get an extra head start on speaking, since that's what you're trying to do in the first place. I would think it would just slow you down. Like, it's not going to hurt, as far as like getting practice is still going to help you, but you're delaying your start. It's kind of like saying, Billy, should I start learning Korean today or after 2 years? I saw someone who started learning after 2 years who got really good. You could have started learning right now. So even if that time that you're not doing listening practice, which is beneficial, you need to do listening practice. Even if that time is going to be more efficient after you've done that, you're still giving up all this time before then, which is still useful. So I think it's, as they say in England, a pot of baloney. No one can verify that. There's not one person here who can verify that, but that's what they truly say. They do. I'm originally from North Carolina. I have 3 brothers. My daughter can tell you which brother I'm talking to on the phone without ever hearing me say a name, just by how I speak to them. Yeah, it's the same with me and I have 3 siblings. It's the same with me speaking with my other siblings. My wife could easily tell who I'm talking with, because I'll talk the same way as each of my other siblings, and I talk a little bit differently because they each have different senses of humor. Speaking early is a free pass to be wrong and get feedback. Yeah, I agree. The reason, though, I think you might have heard that is because some people are embarrassed to speak a language when you're not good. You don't want to sound dumb, right? And you think, if I make mistakes, therefore I am dumb. It's kind of like a general thought that a lot of people have. Like, if you speak another language poorly, that's who you are, and that reflects negatively on you as a person. That reflects negatively on your intelligence. And people who speak foreign languages really good, well, they're intelligent. This is a general perception that we have in the US. It is extremely strong in Korea. So it's not a US only problem that you're dealing with. Around the world, I would assume people have a presumption idea that foreign language speakers are smarter, that if you speak a foreign language, that means you're smart. That's kind of right. Does this sound kind of like something you've heard before? It's complete. I'll be family friendly. A pot of baloney, as they say. It doesn't make any sense, but it's a thing that people think, and Koreans really believe this too. So because you kind of subconsciously think this too, you're kind of afraid to make mistakes. You're afraid to sound not smart in that target language. So people delay speaking because they're like, well, when I start, if I sound not so great, at least I can say I just started today. Oh, I only started learning today, even though you've been doing, 2 years of listening practice and studying, you haven't spoken. You can kind of tell yourself that. But no, ultimately, I've never encountered a single person who's learned that way. So that's why I'm kind of confused by the question. It's not a learning style that exists except for young teenagers. But if you're as an adult, you're trying to do that, you're wasting your time. You could just start right now. And yes, you're not going to start out sounding fluent. You might not sound intelligible at all. And that's normally what happens when you learn another language. If you want to sound really intelligent in your foreign language, you got to just practice it a lot. Mike E, yeah, the Daegu video is just a public park, I swear. There's no admission. It's just an open park. You just walk in like any other park outside, like no big deal. There are people just hanging out there, but there's a zoo inside there and it's also part of the park. Like you don't have to pay to see the animals at the zoo. It's just all incorporated, but it was really cool. I've never been to any sort of public park like that before. I was really expecting we had to pay admission or that there'd be somewhere there like, oh, you can buy snacks here and there's this, to access this area you have to pay or to see this. Nope, just a park that has wild animals in it. I know German and I'm learning Korean, but I'm definitely not the sharpest tool in the shed. Hey now, you're a rock star. Get your game on and go play. Don't say that about yourself, Korean diva. John Z says, have you ever done a video on using punctuation? Yes, I have. Check my channel, search punctuation, and you'll find I have a whole video about it. There are a lot of differences. The more languages you speak, the smarter you are is the impression. Yeah, it's the same in English, but in Korea, it's so much more. I could just, if I didn't have a live stream today, I swear I could talk the entire hour about that specific topic. There's so many things to talk about that, how Koreans have a perception of how intelligent you are based on how good your English is. So telling someone that they have good English is often the biggest compliment you can give someone in Korea without sounding like creepy, without like, going into the compliments like, oh, well, you look beautiful or you look super handsome, like that sort of Besides that, this is the biggest compliment you can give someone in Korea is that they have good English, I think. Or if there's nothing else like specific, if it's just in general, like without knowing someone's specific situation, this is a general compliment. Now, you can't say this if they don't speak any English, but if they do speak some English, then complimenting their English is like, oh, wow. Oh, thank you so much. It's like a really big, thing that many people feel pride over. So yeah. And like, I could talk a whole hour about it and I won't. I don't think it's really, I think it's, I don't know. It's not really what I want to focus on for this lesson. All that glitters, yeah. Only shooting stars break the mold, as they say. Most Sundays of a month. Yes, I do live streams 2 in a row and then 1 off, but it sometimes changes. If you want to have the updated schedule, make sure to check out my Google document. Favorite this link in the chat when it posts. Yeah, go there, favorite it. You can always see the upcoming dates. If it's scheduled there, I'm doing it. Sometimes I might do like an extra. I always post it on the YouTube community tab. Okay. It is time to get started. For the lesson today, there's only one prerequisite, and that's that you know how to conjugate action verbs to the past tense as an adjective. So if you don't know how to do that, you can still guess. You can still follow along with this lesson. Let me give you a quick example. 하다, to do, becomes 한. 먹다, to eat, becomes 먹은. If you've seen this kind of thing before, that's all you need to know how to do. If you don't know how to do that, then you might conjugate this form wrong, but... Oh, and I should note, this topic today was requested by a member. So if you're watching, Michelle, this topic is for you. Hey, Kai! Kai here with our top of the hour donation. Thank you so much, Kai. Let me give you 10 quick dabs because we got to start. Okay. Those are actually harder than the regular dabs. They take way more of my energy. I'll just do regular dabs now. I'm sorry. Okay. All right. So let's get started with the lesson. In order to use the topic we're going to be learning today, you need to first know how to conjugate an action verb into a past tense adjective. Now that sounds harder than it is. Essentially what you do is you take an action verb stem and you're either going to attach un to the end if it ends with a consonant, or you're going to attach a nian if it ends in a vowel. There are a few exceptions. One is if you have this letter at the end of the verb stem, you remove it first, and then you just attach this because it'll be left with a vowel. Besides that, you're done. Then you attach good a. This is just the particle a, followed by the rest of the sentence. Now, often the sentence will end in the past tense, but there's no requirement for that. Okay, I'm going to leave this up for just a second, then we're going to talk about what it means. Okay. Someone asked if good te is the same as hui. This is not that. So that is after doing something. There is hui, there is daome. So like saying after you've done something. This is not that form, although it does mean after doing something, but it has a different meaning. Okay. So what is this form? Well, you're taking the verbs, you're taking the action verb, so doing something, you're taking the past tense adjective form of an action verb. So if we take hada, to do, we get han, gute. So past tense action. So in this case, having done something, good, meaning the finish or the end, the ending of something, and then the particle a, here meaning at. So the meaning we get is at the end of, or at the ending of, having done whatever action. So at the end of having done something. That's what this form literally translates to, and that's what this form means. It's really simple. The hardest thing about conjugating is, the hardest thing about making it is just this. But if you already know how to conjugate this sort of thing, this form is ridiculously simple. Okay. But naturally, you can just translate this form as after doing something, whatever action verb you're using. So after hada, han gute, after doing, 먹은, eat, 먹은 gute, after eating, like that. So that's all you really need to know about how to make this form. So this form, when is it used? So this form is used when you're talking about the result of having done something. So what is the result of what you did? Literally, again, we're talking about at the end of having done something. So it's all finished. After everything's said and done, what is the result? That is the nuance of this form, is that you're talking about the result of something. So it's all over. Now, what do we have left over? What is at the very end of that action? We've done everything. Now it's over, and the end of that action is, this is what this form is used for. That's the main point of using this form. So it's typically used when you are recalling, you're trying to remember, you're recalling, or let me say this again. So it's typically used when you're recalling, you're remembering the result of something that happened in the past, right? Because you're saying literally at the end of having done something. So you're recalling back when that happened. After all of that, the result was, so yeah, used when you're recalling something. And it's also specifically used to emphasize that this action took a lot of time and effort. You're not going to say in Korean, after having done something that was easy with this form, because really what you're saying is at the end of all of that. So by saying this, you're emphasizing that all of that was something worth putting into this form. It was something that took a lot of effort and a lot of time. So after all that had happened, at the end of all of that, implying that all of that took a lot of effort and time. So because of that, you can also think of this form sometimes as translating as something like after managing to do, though it won't always translate like this. Okay. So again, you're saying after all this long and tedious process that took a lot of effort, after all of that, at the end of that, let this sit for a second. Check the chat. Yeah, you would use the past tense. Row 2 is asking about a different form, but yeah, you would also use the past tense adjective form there as well. You use the same adjective form with tons of things. Okay, so if I give you the sentence like, after having, let me think of this. After having called the company 5 times, the result was, what do you think you would end the sentence with? I want you to think about it. Before I tell you kind of how it's used, a little bit more about how it's used. If I give you that sentence, after the result of, so at the end of having made 5 phone calls to the company, just think about how you can end the sentence in English. Like, think about it for yourself. Write something in chat. How would you end that sentence? There is no right or wrong answer yet. Mikey, nice. Sylvia, no, you would use the past tense form as I explained. You might have missed the beginning of the lesson, but don't worry, this will be uploaded right after the live stream's finished. Okay, Ninha said, we didn't resolve anything. Okay, right now there's no right or wrong answer. I just want to know what you might think. So at the end of having made all those phone calls to them, the result was? What is the result? Again, there's no right or wrong answer right now. There will be a right or wrong answer, but right now there's not. Keith, nice. Nice sentence, Keith. I like it. I finally resolved the problem. I like it. I finally got the refund. I like it. The result was compensation. I like it. I canceled my service. Okay. Yeah, if you're trying to call, like, what is it? AT&T or something, or Comcast trying to cancel your service, you'd have to call a lot. Yeah. They just mysteriously hang up after you're waiting for 30 minutes. They're like, oh, I'm sorry, we didn't help you. Might as well hang up. Make you wait again. I was so upset trying to deal with like internet stuff during COVID and everything. Oh, finally got through to someone. Yeah. Okay. I don't want you to you don't have to keep making a bunch of sentences. I know this was just kind of a thought exercise. So this form, because it literally means at the end of having done something, so therefore implying that something took a lot of time and effort, it's often used, although it doesn't have to be, it's often used when the result was something good. Doesn't that kind of flow? After having done this long and arduous, difficult process, it took a lot of time, the result was we finally got something we wanted. This is how it often gets used, is to say that there's something that takes a lot of time and effort, and at the end of doing that, so after having done that, the result was something good. That's how this form is used most of the time. So, a couple things you also need to know about this. This form is only used when it's just a regular action verb. So that makes it easier for you. You don't have to worry about like negative action verbs with ji anta and stuff like that. It's just a regular action verb. So don't do like 못하다. Just do 하다, right? Don't do like 하지 않다. Just do 하다. So it's at the end of having not. So if you were to use a negative verb, it would sound like at the end of having not done something which took a lot of time and effort, right? It doesn't really make sense. So it has to be something that's just a regular verb that you're actually doing, not something you're not doing. And a couple more things we still need to know. I don't want to go too fast because I know some of you are taking notes, but this form is not often used in regular everyday speech. So this is not a form you're going to be just using when you're chatting with your friends. It's not going to be a form you're going to hear in your regular conversations. It's more common that you're going to hear this when someone's narrating something, like they're telling a story. You'll read it in stories. You might hear someone say it if they're telling a story or they're trying to emphasize something, but you're not going to hear it in just your everyday conversations. If you just want to say after doing something, just use any of the other after forms that you have in Korean, like 후에 or 고, like 하고 is also an after form. So use any of those. Don't use this one just to say after having done something. Again, unless you need to emphasize that sort of result. Like after having done this long and difficult thing, the result of that was this. Then you can use it. But just know that the nuance you're conveying is not a normal, everyday sort of nuance that you're going to do in every sentence. And finally, one more note you need to know. Actually, there are a couple more, but for this form, since this form, I said, uses a action verb past tense adjective form, there is actually another past tense action verb adjective form. Let me say that again. There is also another action verb past tense adjective form that's not here. Does anyone know what it is? I'll just say there is another past tense adjective form of an action verb besides with this. Row 2 says if we want to do a negative verb, we could use 후에. Yeah, 후에, you wouldn't use this form at all. You would use 후에, but that doesn't have any sort of special connotation to it or any of that feeling. It's just literally after doing something. After doing something, this, the end. Yeah, several of you already know. Okay, yeah. Another form you might see this with is with action verb stem with 던, which also makes a past tense adjective form of an action verb. It's a mouthful to say it every single time. Now, it's not that common, but for example, you could have, instead of just like 한 끝에, you can have like 하던 끝에. But it's not that common. But if you added that, the only feeling is you just add the meaning of 던, which is thinking about something that happened in the past. So it's also a past tense, but it adds in that retrospective feeling of like you're remembering, you're recalling something that happened in the past. It just adds that feeling to it. Other than that, it's the same thing. But you might see it. So if you see this form used with this, it's the same thing. It's just the speaker is just conveying it as something that they personally experienced. Okay. So we actually have two forms to cover today that are using 끝에. There's this one, and then there's another one which looks similar to it. But I'm going to give you a few sentences before we go on. So before we go on to the next form, I'm going to give you a few example sentences. I promise you, though, super easy. Again, as long as you translate this in your head as after having done, you're always going to at least understand it. You don't need to know all of the other details I gave you unless you're trying to make the sentence for yourself, in which case you'd want to know them so that your sentence is natural. Okay. It's a little messy. Even I have standards for how messy I'll allow my writing to be during a lesson. Okay. 이건 제가 20년을 연구한 끝에 만든 음료예요. What do you think this means? I want you to translate this. I'm going to give you some words. So, 연구하다 is to research. 만들다 is to make, and 음료 is a drink or a beverage. So what would this sentence mean? I want you to translate this, and then I'll go over it in detail so that you don't have to translate this if you can't, but if you can, go ahead and give it a try. Kenneth asks a good question. Is there a form referring to after but for nouns? Yes, but don't get ahead of the lesson, Kenneth. You gotta wait your turn, okay? How rude. Yeah, we'll get there in just a second. Give me a few more sentences here, and then we're gonna go on to a secret form. There's another secret form I can't tell you about. It's a secret, but we'll do that after we do a few sentences. After 20 years of research, this drink was made. After 20 years of research, I made a drink. This is the drink I made at the end of my 20 years of research. Very nice, Ninha. I like that. That's a very good sentence. This is the drink I made after researching 20 years. Yes, this is a beverage I made after what? You drank it and you died. This is the beverage I made after, This is glass artist Solkai 10. After 20 years of research, this drink was created. After 20 years, I hope it was worth the wait. A beverage made after 20 years of research. Yes. So, 이것은, this is 제가 20년, 20 years, 연구하다, to research, 끝에. So at the end of researching 20 years. So at the end of 20 years of research, you can kind of think of it like that. 만들다, to make, 만든 음료. So a drink that I made. Note, this is the same past tense adjective form of an action verb, just with the verb 만들다. This is the regular usage of it before a noun. So a drink that I made. 에요, it is. So this is a drink that I made, 제가, after 20 years of research. So after having researched 20 years. So this is a drink that I made after having researched 20 years. This implies that the researching process was long and took a lot of effort, which it did. Literally here it says 20 years. And after having researched for 20 years, has the nuance of what comes after is going to be something positive, in which case it is. 만든 음료. So this is a drink that after 20 years of research, I made. So it took me 20 years and I made it. And you drink it, you're like, tastes like, I don't know. Tastes like, what's like the worst drink? Okay, some Koreans watching this are going to fight me if I say this, but Mekor is the nastiest drink in my entire... I have never drank anything more disgusting than Mekor. And Koreans, like I said, Koreans might fight me on this because some people love it. It's essentially, it's root beer. It's made with barley, but it's like barley root beer, which sounds fine, right? I love root beer. I like that sort of thing. But it's made with barley and not very much sugar. So imagine if root beer had less sugar and was made with barley tea. You know barley tea? Oh, that's a really good comparison. If you've ever tried barley tea before, it's pretty much just like flavored water. It's like barley flavored water, and it's a common tea that you have like during the summertime or whatever. Barley tea carbonated. Okay. Now add a little bit of sugar, and now you got Mekor. It is, oh my God, it's, ugh. One time I drank it because I was like, I really missed root beer when I was living in Korea, because at that time you couldn't really find it in Korea. It didn't exist in Korea. But I really wanted to drink root beer, so my friend's like, oh, you should get Mekor. It's like barley. It's made in the same way. It is not made in the same, it is not good. But there are lots of people who love it. Some people, it's like one of their favorite drinks, because I guess maybe they grew up drinking it. Okay. Mekju Cola. Not that. That's not what it is. No, it's actually just a drink called Mekor. Dill kombucha is the worst thing I ever tasted. The ugly sister of pickle juice. I kind of like pickle juice, but I wouldn't drink a jar of it. I would drink like, you know, you kind of go like jokingly when you're drinking when you finish the pickles, but you wouldn't actually finish it, right? You just kind of like taste it. Natalie asks a good question. Do Koreans like root beer? The answer is yes and no. I'll tell you why after I erase this. I'm going to write down the next sentence, and then after I write it up while you're reading it, I'll tell you why Koreans don't like root beer. But then I'll also tell you why they do. Okay. This is our example from before. I want you to translate this while you're translating this. I'll tell you a few words. Okay. 번 is how many times you do something. 전화하다 is to call. 연결 is connection. So 연결이 되다 is to be connected. Okay, so translate this. And Koreans, the first time Koreans try root beer, universally they hate it. The reason is because for two reasons. Koreans do not have a drink like root beer in their in all within Korean drinks that you can buy. Even today, you can't get root beer at regular stores. You have to go to like a larger supermarket to find it. Military bases have it, but it's not something that you can find at a small convenience store. Koreans don't know root beer. So that's one, is they're not used to it, but they are kind of used to a different thing that has the similar type of like root flavor. Like the type of flavor that's in root beer, I believe is like, it's kind of like a sarsaparilla type of thing. They do have a thing in Korea, a product that has that similar smell and ingredient, and it is called pasu, basically muscle rub. I can't remember the hot and cold or something. There's some muscle rub we have in the US. You know, when your muscles are really sore and you rub it and it like burns and it smells kind of like minty and like has like perfume to it. The kind of pasu that they have in Korea smells kind of like that. So when they drink root beer, the first thing they think of and the only thing they can connect it with that they know is the muscle rub. Or toothpaste, because they also have toothpaste that kind of has that like minty type of flavor to it. So that's why Koreans do not like it their first time they try it, because it only reminds them of like toothpaste or muscle rub. However, if Koreans try it multiple times and they learn its actual flavor and they can differentiate it from muscle rub and toothpaste that they're familiar with, most Koreans I've encountered who've tried it multiple times actually really like it. It's not common that they'll try it multiple times and still hate it. Most people I talk with who've tried it many times actually like root beer. But people who try it the very like first time or second time, I don't know anyone who tried root beer and liked it their first time. But if you're Korean and you liked it your first time, let me know. I would be interested. Maybe I'm wrong on that. But most people I talk with don't like it their first time and typically like it if they've tried it like 3 or 4 times. And it's the same in Japan as well, from what I heard, is Japan also doesn't have anything like this. And they also kind of think it tastes like toothpaste or something. Icy hot. That's what I couldn't remember. Yeah, icy hot. You may have just ruined root beer for me. Yeah. Even knowing that, root beer's so good. Oh man, root beer's so good. You can make root beer. It's actually not even that hard. You can buy like the kit with the flavoring of it, and it's really easy to brew it. You like add yeast and you can make it yourself. Oh man, root beer is just a fantastic drink. Okay. 다섯 번. Oh yeah, let me see your translations. After calling 5 times, the connection came back. Not close. Mikey has it. After calling 5 times, I got connected. Let's see. Connection finally worked after 5 times. I could reach them. Yes. I managed to get a response. Yeah, that works. Finally connected, able to contact them. The connection worked. Literally, yeah, connection worked. Makes sense. Unpopular opinion. Shrimp snacks taste like goldfish food smells. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Okay. 다섯 번, so 5 times. 전화하다, so to phone call, to call a company 5 times. 끝에. So at the end of having called 5 times to a company or whoever, the result was that 연결 is connection. 연결이 되다 is the passive version of to connect. So to be connected. So I was connected at the end of having phone called them 5 times is what you literally get. Or 5번을 전화한 끝에 연결이 됐어요 can also translate more naturally as after calling 5 times, I was connected. 다섯 번을 전화한 끝에 연결이 됐어요. So, after calling 5 times, I was connected. So finally, after calling 5 times, the result was that I was connected to them. I don't know what I'm saying. I can't even make sense of English. Okay, you know what I'm talking about. The result of calling 5 times at the end of all of that long and difficult process, the result was I got connected. Yeah, some food just doesn't match with Korean tastes right away. There's some food though that really does, that you'd be surprised. Funnily enough, I found that one of the types of foods, like American foods that Korean people tend to love, the first time they try it, not like after having it a few times and they're nostalgic for it, but the very first time is actually Chipotle. Believe it or not, Chipotle food. Mexican food is a bit tough. Some Koreans will really like it, but other Koreans, it really upsets their stomach because of how greasy it can be, or how, it's just all filled with spices that their stomach isn't used to. Tacos can be safe, but also, again, it depends on the spices that are used. But I found like Chipotle, every Korean I've seen that tried Chipotle their first time loved it. Like the very first time, their very first bite. So I think that's one of the things that Korea really should have. They actually have a fake Chipotle in Korea. It's like a copycat of what Chipotle is, and it tastes pretty good, but it doesn't taste anything like Chipotle, but it looks like Chipotle and it does taste good. But I think they could get if they were to open a real Chipotle in Korea, I think it would do really well. Okay. One more sentence, then I'm going to go on to another form. Is it 결례? Yeah. Making sure I spelled it wrong. I just realized that Shinobon, like to try something on your feet, kind of sounds like Cinnabon. Now I want a Cinnabon. Cinnabon. Okay. What does this sentence mean? I'll tell you a few words. 결례 is a counter for a pair of something. Most often you're gonna just see this for socks and shoes. So a pair of something. 신다 is to wear on your feet. So shoes or socks or boots or something like that. 딱 맞다. 딱 맞다 to be just right. 딱 is like just. So it's optional to add 딱, but it makes it like just. 맞다 is to be correct or to be right, to match or to fit. 찾았어요. So 찾다 is to find. It can also be look for or seek, to search. Okay. So what does this sentence mean? I am the moose says cilantro. Yeah, cilantro is a genetic thing from what I understand, that Koreans have a gene that lets them taste cilantro more of the chemicals that are in cilantro normally that Americans do not have a gene to taste. So for us, it tastes good because we're not tasting those extra chemicals that Koreans can taste, which actually happen to taste like soap, like hand soap. Koreans can taste it. So Koreans typically do not get cilantro. You can't order it. Some Mexican restaurants in Korea will have it if you ask for it. But if you have it enough, you kind of tolerate it. You kind of just get used to it. But I don't know too many people who actually ended up liking it in Korea. It's usually just more like they either hate it or they don't hate it anymore. But it's not like, Oh, I like it after having it a lot because they still taste that kind of like soap flavor. After trying on 30 pairs of shoes, I finally found the right pair. Chipotle changed their name to Chicotle. That's kind of cute, actually. Did he like it? I'm wondering, what did he think about it? After trying 30 pairs of shoes, I finally found the right pair. I found a few shoes that fit perfectly. I found one that fits perfectly. Yes. Yes, I found the perfect one. Finally, I found the perfect fitting shoe. I found the right size. I found the perfect pair. The perfect fit. I found shoes that fit just right. Delicious soap. Wait a second. I found the pair that fits me. Okay, yeah. 30 켤레. So 켤레 again would be a pair. In this case, it's a pair of shoes. 신발. 신어보다, to try on your feet. 신다, to put on your feet. 끝에. So at the end of having tried on 30 pairs of shoes, the result was 딱, just, 맞다, to fit or to be right, to be correct. So in this case, the perfect fitting 신발 찾았어요. So I found the perfect fitting shoes after having tried on 30 pairs is what you get. Again, this implies, by using 끝에, it implies that you did a lot of work. You've put a lot of time, a lot of effort. In this case, 30 pairs. You tried on 30 pairs of shoes and you finally, it kind of feels like you're saying finally, right? Even though there is no word finally in the sentence, if you translate this to I finally found, you'd be correct because it has that kind of nuance. It took a lot of work to do this and then I found the right shoes. It works, but it kind of sounds more natural if you add the word finally in there in English. So if you add finally to your sentences, it can kind of help convey the nuance that this form has. 30켤레 신발을 신어본 끝에 딱 맞는 신발을 찾았어요. Okay. All the stuff we've been doing today so far has been useless because in reality, Koreans don't use this form that much. They don't use it with action verbs very much. You'll see it. You might find it. It'll be in your grammar book. Your Korean teacher will be like, why didn't you study it? It's on the test. But in reality, it's not used that much. You know what they do use though? Okay. Before I explain this form, I need to give you a warning. You better take the best notes you've ever taken in your entire life because I'm only going to explain this once. This is really, don't underestimate this form, okay? It's going to bite you. The way to make this, I know it looks simple. I promise you there's more to it. You take a noun, okay? And then you add, after that with a space, you add 끝에. Okay. And that's all you do. Yes, this exact same form is more often used just after a noun like this. No conjugation. And that's all you have to do. In fact, you don't even need, it's not really plus because you're adding a space, but yeah, that's all you really have to do. What nouns is this used with? Well, it can really be any noun. It tends to get used with 한자 nouns, meaning those nouns that normally use the word with 하다, like 전화하다, right? Or like any sort of word that normally would use like 하다 after it. That's the word that it tends to get used with. So you can make the exact same sentence we did. Instead of saying 연구한 끝에, like after having researched, you can just say 연구 끝에, the end of researching. The meaning is the same. This form has the exact same meaning as the other more complicated form that we just did. So you don't have to do any conjugation. And this one's more common. Now, I don't mean that it's common. You're still not going to hear this a lot, but that it's more common than the other one. Okay. Okay, I'll leave this up here for a second so you can write it down. I know there's a lot to write out. Make sure you get this down. I'm going to check the chat. I feel like I don't want to erase it too soon because then you might need to write it down. Haven't I heard suop good? Oh, that's different. That's not this form. This is good-te. That's just the word good. Like the end. That's it. Done is what good means. Sorry, the moose. This will be re-uploaded on my channel so you can watch it. You can repeat it as many times as you need it until it makes sense. Are we sure this isn't advanced? Well, I did save it for the end of the class for a reason. If you say good-te, that's literally just good-te. If you're talking about what Tiffany Stray Kids is talking about. Judy says Jungkook did like Chipotle. He did not like Jin didn't like the cilantro. Yeah, cilantro. Koreans don't like cilantro just because of how it tastes. Not to say they all hate it, but typically they don't like it. Yeah, it's not really something you get used. It's not really something you get an acquired taste for. Like, oh, I really miss this food. I didn't like it, but now I want it because I haven't had it in a long time. It doesn't really get that status. Kind of like SpaghettiOs. If you have SpaghettiOs as a kid, man, those things are like toxic. But you have them, you eat them as a kid, and you kind of like them. And then you have them as an adult. You're like, they're not very good, but they do remind me of my childhood. So in that way, they're good. What else is like terrible when you rewatch it, but really good when you're a kid? Oh gosh. Trying to think of some other things that are like, they're great when I was a kid, but they're not that great as an adult. Oh yeah, cheese pizza Lunchables. No, those were amazing when I was a kid. Like you get a cheese pizza Lunchable, you're like, wow. My mom's like rolling this month. Must be doing amazing in business. You get like the cheese, you put all the cheese on, you eat like the little candy, drink the Capri Sun or whatever it came with. That is nasty. I had it last month because I found one in the refrigerator that I got for my kid, and even he didn't like it. But I was like, I don't want to throw it away, and it's expired, so I'll eat it. Expired as in like just a couple days, not actually bad expired. That's not good. Like the pizza dough is like, it's like eating the crust of bread, like packaged bread that's like expired. It's like really bad. And then the cheese is like hard and like chewy. And the whole thing's cold. Hey, Flo. Thank you, Flo. Flo, I'm going to do regular dabs if you don't mind. I think the fast dabs are going to break my arms. So you get the slower dabs. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Here we go now. Did anyone else get like Taebo in their athletics class in junior high or high school? Does anyone know what I'm talking about? We had that guy. They play videos of the Taebo guy. What was his name? Anyway, and that's just what it kind of reminded me of. They should make like Taebo or maybe Richard Simmons, who I think recently passed away, right? Yeah. Yeah, he did. Just like a couple months ago. Like that sort of thing. Someone should make an athletics program for dabbing. I think it would do well. You know, do the dab. Oh, Flo, sorry, I didn't read your comment. That complicated explanation deserves a dose. Thank you. I put a lot of work into it. You can tell I spent a lot of my time making sure my lessons are clear and concise. So I did put a lot of effort. Okay. I think I left this on the board long enough for you to write notes on it. All right. So, but if you want, I can write it back up later in case you need a reminder. So I'm going to give you an example. This sentence is actually a common expression, so you can write it down and learn it as is. 고생 끝에 낙이 온다. 고생. 고생 is like suffering. So normally it's used in the word 고생하다, literally to suffer or to put in a lot of effort into doing something. 끝에. So at the end of suffering, 낙. 낙 is like joy. 낙이 온다. Joy comes at the end of suffering. Can you guess what this idiom means? Well, you can translate this several different ways, but you might say something like, every cloud has a silver lining, right? But it doesn't really literally mean that. It has a slightly different meaning, but it does kind of mean that. So after hardships come joy is the Korean expression. 고생 끝에 낙이 온다. So again, the same form. At the end of something that took a lot of effort, a lot of time, in this case, you're suffering for a long time. And the result of all of that suffering was joy. So you put in a lot of work into something really hard and then you get joy out of it. That's what it implies. Yeah, I want to go to the next sentence. I know this is short. I'll leave it up for just a sec. Billy Blanks. That's right. Billy Blanks. Oh God, I knew it was another Billy. Does anyone think that wasabi tastes like soap? Or is it just me? You might be eating soap. They do make green dawn. You got to be careful you're not eating that. Now, a funny thing is that wasabi that you buy at the store, you know, it's green and it comes in little tubes, is actually not really wasabi. So this is your fun fact of the day. It's actually what's known as gyoza. Gyoza is spicy mustard. So it's actually spicy mustard paste that's been dyed green. Believe it or not. The reason is, there's a reason why. They don't do that to deceive you. They do that because you literally cannot buy wasabi in tube form and have it stay fresh. Wasabi really quickly degrades once it's exposed to the air. So you can get real wasabi at like nice sushi restaurants, but the way that they do it is they actually take the wasabi root and they grate it right in the restaurant and immediately serve it to you, because within like, I don't know, 15, 20, 30 minutes, the flavor like drops off dramatically and it's no longer, it's not going to taste really good. Fresh wasabi is really not that spicy either, but the stuff you get in tubes, the really cheap green stuff that they give you with your orders and stuff, that's gyoza, which is good too, but it's a different ingredient. And often the gyoza that has the ones that say wasabi on the label, what it is gyoza plus wasabi powder. So they'll add some dried wasabi powder in there. But again, it's not the same thing. Okay. Okay, 10번의 실패 끝에. So at the end of 10번, 10 times, 실패 is a failure. So at the end of 10 failures, the result after all those long 10 failures that took a lot of effort was, it implies that something good happened. 드디어. Here, this sentence actually does use the word finally. 성공했어요. So we succeeded. We were successful finally at the end of 10 failures. So after 10 failures, I finally succeeded. Or after the 10th failure, I finally succeeded. 10번의 실패 끝에 드디어 성공했어요. Happiness comes at the end of hardship. Oh, Green Mine, you wouldn't say, oh, is this from something? Normally, it's just the noun and then 끝에. You're not literally saying, well, you are saying at the end of, but you're not saying the day's end. At the day's end, you're saying at the end of the day. The silver lining after the rain. There are some other expressions that have that, because it really doesn't mean every cloud has a silver lining. There is a different Korean idiom that has that meaning of there's something good even in something bad. This expression really just means what it says, is like after hardship, you get a reward, you get joy after the hardship. I don't really think we have an equivalent in English that matches that exactly. Because yeah, every cloud has a silver lining doesn't mean that. It means there's something good even when there's like something bad that's happening. Kind of like there's a terrible situation, but here's something good out of it. It's kind of what it means. But that's not what the Korean one means. Okay. 10번의 실패 끝에 드디어 성공했어요. So I finally succeeded after 10 failures. Okay, this is the last sentence that I'll give you. But if you want some more, you can always get a worksheet on my Patreon page, which has, I think this one has another 8 example sentences to practice. And all of those examples are also longer and more difficult than these ones. But I didn't have, I couldn't put them in the lesson because then we wouldn't have time. Okay, I want you to translate this one. It's the last sentence. 저희, so us. This is just the more polite version of 우리. 상의. 상의 is talking about something with someone, like discussing something with someone. 끝에, 함께 is together. 유학 가다. 유학 is to go foreign exchange, to do foreign exchange, and they use it with 가다. So to go be a foreign exchange student. 가기로 하다 is to decide to go. 기로 하다, to decide to do. Okay, so what does this sentence mean? Después de la tormenta, siempre sale el sol. Is that what this means? I can kind of understand that, like, after the tortures, siempre comes the sun, something like that. Yes, Green Mind. Keith, wonderful. Perfect. Okay, Tiffany, nice. Hablas español muy bien, Billy. Muchas gracias, señorita. Es señor. After the storm always comes the sun. Okay, I was like, I can only hear tormenta, and I was like, is that torture or is that like a torrent, like a storm? I guess it's that one. Siempre is always. Okay. Sal comes the sun. El sol. Okay. Después de la tormenta, siempre sale el sol. What is it they always say at the... Oh, yeah. What's it they always say at Disneyland every single time? Here, is this it? Atención. Permanentes sentados, por favor. They always say that at Disneyland. That's why I was like, I haven't been to Disneyland in like 4 years, and we went once. And before that was like 10 years more. But that's what always sticks with me is at the rides. They say something like that. My Spanish is fine. How about my Portuguese? I don't know the difference. I know they're different. I just don't know the difference. Okay. I'm still reading all your examples. Decided to study abroad. Yes, perfect, Teresa. I am the moose. Okay. 전화 위복. Yes, that is turning a misfortune into a blessing. The characters break down as 전화, misfortune, 위복, into a blessing. Yes, that's right. That's a very random thing to say in chat. That would not be every cloud has a silver lining though. That's just something good out of something bad. 저희는, so polite, this is the polite version of 우리. So 저희는, so us, 상의, discussion, 끝에, so after discussing it, 함께, together, 유학하다, to go as a foreign exchange student. So we decided to, 가기로 했다, to decide to go. So 가기로 했어요. So we decided to go abroad as foreign exchange students together after talking about it. 저희는 상의 끝에 함께 유학을 가기로 했어요. So after discussion, we decided to go study abroad together. 저희는 상의 끝에 함께 유학을 가기로 했어요. And again, this sort of usage with 끝에 after a noun is the more common way that it's going to be used. You could also make this sentence though with the other form. You can say 상의, since it's 상의하다, you could say 상의한 끝에, after having discussed it. But this one is just after discussion. After discussion, we've decided to go to be foreign exchange students together. Or after having discussed it, both work, but Koreans though tend to use this form after a noun a little more often than they use it after a verb. So just keep that in mind. And that is our lesson. Let me take a thumbnail and then I'm going to accept some questions from the chat. Stay around, we can chat a little bit, talk about Korea or anything you're curious about. Oh no, I actually just almost messed up. Okay. Take a quick thumbnail. What should I do for a thumbnail? I think I'll just do my classic. I'll just do something like that. That's an easy thumbnail. It's saying we went, right? Not really, we decided. We decided. The action verb stem. This is not the lesson. The form is this. Take an action verb stem, so like 하다 would just be ha, and then you attach 기로 하다, so 하기로 하다, to decide to do. In this case, 가다, it's just 가기로 하다, 가기로 했어요. So we decided to 가다. We decided to go. Doesn't mean that you went. At least not yet. You can go tell your parents, oh, we decided to go, but you haven't actually gone yet. 가기로 했어요. 하기로 했어요. 먹기로 했어요. 보기로 했어요. Anything like that. Después de la tormenta siempre sale el sol would be similar to 고생 끝에 낙이 온다. Okay. It's like we went with the decision. I wish I studied any Spanish to know how I sound. I know like French, because I know kind of how I sound in French because I sound ridiculous in French, but at least I know that. I don't have any friends though that speak Spanish to tell me how awful I sound in Spanish. I leave for Korea 1 week from today. Oh, that is awesome. I'll be there for 2 weeks. What are you going to do over there for 2 weeks? Anyone else have plans to go to Korea? Right now, it's actually cold in Korea, believe it or not. This is weird. It's not supposed to be cold in Korea until the end of November. I kid you not. It's not supposed to be cold right now. Every year I go to Korea early November to the end of November, or right before Thanksgiving and from the middle of October. Sometime around there, I went every past year. I don't know if I'm going to go this year though, just because it's expensive, but normally I go around this time. And when I first arrive, so that the end of October-ish, when I first arrive, it's not cold. It's like a little cool in the morning and that's it, but it's not cold during the daytime. But by the time I leave toward the end of November or the middle of November is actually when it starts to get cold and where I wear a jacket when I go outside. Even though it's not freezing yet, it's a little chilly. Not now. It's the beginning of October. That would be like a month early, more than a month, like a month and a half early before people would say it's starting to get cold. So yeah, it's kind of weird this year, but just bring some warm clothes. Now, Korea during this time, even if it's really cold, it's not going to be like snowing and icy and super freezing. very much, although it was actually snowing the last time I was there. I did a live stream and it was snowing, if any of you were watching that. But that's not normal. Cold over there just means have a coat, have gloves, and then if your ears get cold or your neck gets cold, whatever, have something for that. But you're not really like, you don't need like some gigantic like mammoth skin jacket and everything. You just general sort of clothes for the cold weather. I recommend long sleeve t-shirts. Some what they call men to men in Korea are a sweatshirt without a hoodie. You can buy these in Korea really easily. In fact, I don't buy them in the US because they're so common in Korea. Look for what's called men to men. Like I said, it's just a, what do you call it? It's just a sweatshirt. Yeah, that's what you call a sweatshirt. It's like a hoodie without the hood, right? And they have some that zip up and others that are just, you wear it like a t-shirt. Wear something like this. You'll be fine, except for like early in the morning, late at night. It's good enough for most days. Just be aware that it's normally cold around the middle of November-ish. But yeah, not right now. Normally at this time of the year, it is hot. I kid you not. It is hot. It's still hot. And it was hot up until a couple weeks ago. And then suddenly it's just cold. Like they didn't get a fall this year. There's supposed to be a few weeks when it's like really nice weather at sometime around now, actually, is when it's supposed to be really nice. It's like from right now until the end of October is when you get your really nice fall weather in Korea, where you can walk outside wearing like, a t-shirt or long sleeve or whatever like that. You're not gonna be hot. You're not gonna be too cold. And it's just really nice weather. That didn't exist this year from what I understand. It was like a few days of nice weather and then it's like cold. Crew neck sweater. Sounds pretty good in Spanish for someone who doesn't speak. I don't speak any Spanish. That's Great asks, what U.S. state's weather is comparable to the weather in Korea? The East Coast is your most similar type of weather. So New York, kind of like New York, you get hot and humid summers and cold and dry winters. And it's a little bit extreme in the summer, a little bit extreme in the winter. Although I guess everywhere is a little bit extreme, but like the summers aren't crazy hot, but because they're humid, they feel like really gross. And the winters, because they snow, they feel like freezing. That's kind of equivalent. Although I think from what I've heard is that Korea is a little bit stronger for like their winters are a little bit colder than New York, but I've never really experienced New York winter. I was only there during the winter for like one day, I think, for a meeting once. 한국에 너무 가고 싶은데 돈이 없어요. Yeah. Yeah. Though actually there are some deals right now for Korean tickets. You can sometimes find discounts they have through the company Air Premia. Otherwise, I recommend Korean Air personally. I think you get a better experience with either just Delta or Korean Air for going to Korea. Don't do United. I've had so many bad experiences with United that I will actively tell people don't fly with them if you can avoid it. Korean Air, though, I've always had mostly good experiences with. And Delta also is mostly okay. 내용 means the contents or the details, the info that makes up the books or lessons. Yes, it also is the content of a story or a movie as well, could be the 내용. So that's why Koreans will often use the word, what's the contents of something? Like, we don't use contents in that way. We use contents only in the usage of items that are inside of something. Like, what are the contents of that box, right? We don't use contents for the word contents with an S for any other thing. We use the word, we might use the word content, like what's the content of the movie? Like, is the movie's content appropriate? Like that. But we don't talk about the content. We don't describe the content in that way. We'll usually use it to talk about a specific type of content. So you'll hear Korean speakers of English often use the word contents overly because they're thinking of the word 내용 in Korean, whereas we don't talk like that. Even instead of the word content, we usually use the word about. which is why it's tricky when you want to say the word about in Korean and most people translate it as 에테해, about. And then it ends up sounding a little bit off in Korean because Koreans would have used the word 내용 in that situation, right? So this is just kind of a fun thing is when you're translating the word about into Korean, although you can normally use the 에테해, like if you're trying to do something like learn about or talk about or something like that, feel free to use this. It's not wrong. It's not unnatural, but it's also equally common that Koreans will use the word 내용 after a noun, like something, 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 like nouns, literally nouns, contents. 영화의 내용은 어땠어? 어떤 내용이야? Like, what's it about? Literally, what kind of contents is it? Or what kind of content is it? So when Koreans speak English, they're thinking this and they translate it into content or contents. And it sounds awkward. It's because this is how you say it in Korean. So anytime you can use content to describe a noun, this is the way you want to say about something. Not like you're thinking about it, but like you're studying about that, or you want to know about something. In which case, 내용 is going to be a little more natural. I actually have a Korean FAQ specifically about this topic that you can find on my channel. So if you search 내용, you'll find it. It's a more natural way to say about. Instead of just saying like something, something 에테해, something, something 에테해, which sounds, 에테해 is perfectly fine, but it's a little bit fancy. It's not the one you're going to use for just regular mentioning the word about, like about something, as in when you're talking about its contents, what it's made of. Can you use a future ending with this form? So 끝에. You don't have to use past tense. Like at the end of having completed my scuba training, I receive this prize or something like that. You could do that. It's as long as you're still conveying that doing something took a lot of work and effort. And yeah, there was an example in here that's not past tense either. This is the drink that I made after having researched for 20 years. So you can say, this is so I receive a prize after having done something, or I will receive a prize after having completed my swimming lessons, I guess. Hey, Kai. So technically, Kai, if I kept streaming 24 hours, if I just turn on the stream 24 hours, will I get a donation every single hour from Kai? And will I or will I not be able to pay my rent with that? That's the other question. 24 at $240 a day times 30, 2, 4, 60, 72, 7,200. No, it can't be right. $7,200 per month. I think I could pay my rent and my health insurance and my utilities. Yes, I think I could do that. Okay, I found a new strategy. Hold on, let me try that. Yeah. I would. It's a new strategy I found. Thank you, Kai. Let me give you some donations. I mean, you gave me donation. Let me give some dabs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 수업의 내용이 뭐예요? 이렇게 하면 돼요. Yeah. 어떤가요? 어떤 거요? Like, how is it? 무슨 내용이에요? What are the contents of it? Instead of saying, what is it about? 무엇에 대한 거예요? Like, it sounds really awkward. 오늘의 수업은 무엇에 대한 거예요? Like, what is today's lesson about? Like, literally it translates okay. It just sounds awkward. Can I handle that many dabs? I wasn't thinking that far. Can I do 7,200 dabs? I would get ripped. I would get so ripped if I did 7,200 dabs. But only like this muscle and this muscle. So I'd have like this big like blob here and like this gigantic like shoulder, these gigantic shoulder muscles. And then the rest of me like skipped everything day. Hold on, is Mike asking a question? I saw a live stream from Victor talking. I don't know who that is. He boiled his best advice down to memorize sentences, practice sentences, write down sentences, memorize phrasing, stop memorizing words. Any thoughts? Is he in the room with you right now? Can I speak honestly about this? Don't do that. That's the nicest thing that I can say. I don't want to, yeah. Just say don't do that. That is not good advice. It has good advice in it. It's taking one part of learning language and saying this. Okay, you'll see a lot of advice from people. I hope I'm not like specifically targeting any specific YouTuber or anyone who said this something, but I'm just going to give you a generalization of what I see a lot on YouTube, specifically for, and not just YouTube, but Instagram, TikTok, all that, specifically for language learning, Korean, specifically for Korean. I can at least talk about Korean. I can't talk about other languages. But for Korean, you'll see a lot of this sort of mentality where you have a Korean teacher or someone who's learning Korean, and they're learning and they see this aspect of language learning is very useful. For example, sentence memorization. Okay. Another example, shadowing. Okay. Another example, listening practice. Okay. Another example, writing practice. Another example, speaking, having a pen pal, learning grammar, focusing on vocabulary, just saying it out loud, only listen. You get the idea. There are so many parts of language learning, and I'm sure you've tried a lot of these. So playing games and and what the person does as an inexperienced teacher. Okay, I'll say that. I'll diss on them that much. As an inexperienced teacher, they say, wow, this is great. I love this one thing here. This is the only thing you need to learn Korean. That's kind of what you get. So they're not wrong that they're grabbing onto something that they found especially valuable, that they see as wonderful. But the thing is, there are like a million Dragon Balls here, and they're picking this one and saying this is all that you need. They're leaving all the other Dragon Balls for other people to take. It's kind of inexperienced. So that's why a lot of the advice that comes from traditional teachers or, just regular language teachers who teach it's not going to be like one weird shortcut. You're not going to see that because there are so many great tools at your disposal. Another thing you might hear is like, oh, just focus on, memorizing sentences, which is it's a really powerful tool, but that's not the only tool at your disposal. You could learn Korean up to a point in a certain area by only following one or the other, but you're not broadening your horizons. You're not making yourself well-rounded. Someone who only memorizes sentences is going to only say those sentences. They're not going to know what context to switch up and do other sentences. Kind of like if you see someone I'll make this really vague because you might tell who I'm talking about. Let's say somebody claims to speak many languages and they demonstrate such ability by uploading videos of them speaking various languages with various people who are native in that language, and they edit the videos, or they don't edit the video sometimes, and you hear the native speaker complimenting them on how great their language sounds, and they're really confident and they're using their language well. And this person then comes out and says, the way I learn language is, let's see, which of these is the most, okay, this one. This is how I learn the language, is kind of what you get when they're ignoring that's all the stuff that they used. And if it's actually this that they used and not the other ones, I'm trying to be really vague. I'm sorry if it sounds vague. I'm purposely being vague. And if this really was the only thing they used, then this is all that they can speak. And it'll be very limited. And any speaker of that language that they're claiming will know that they're not actually at the level they're claiming to be in the language. So careful with any advice. Again, this is not targeted at, I don't know who you're talking about, the Victor talking. So it's not targeted at him. I don't know who he is. I'm just saying, like, this is not a new thing that I've encountered on YouTube. And I'm just kind of giving you, I'm giving you knowledge so that you can make good decisions about your language learning and know that there aren't really any shortcuts. There are tips and tricks, but there aren't any like quick shortcuts to get to the end. It's not like IKEA where you follow the sign and you can skip through the entire kitchen section. You know what I'm talking about? There aren't really any tricks like that. There are, there's advice like, oh, don't do this, try this. But at the end of the day, you're going to grab all those tools and you're going to end up using all of them, some more than others. And some of them you might agree, oh, that was the most effective for me. That was like 40% of all my learning came from that. Great. But you're not going to learn from only that. Yeah, no. And as far as I don't know him, I wasn't like alluding to saying I actually don't know who he is, or maybe I've seen him. I don't know. Sorry, that really wasn't anything against this person. I have no clue who they are. Just want to make that clear. I've been studying Korean for 4 years, but I've never had a native to speak to regularly. I was wondering, what resources would you recommend for improving natural conversations? Find a native Korean speaker that you can speak to, but if you can't, then the best second option is going to be having lots of listening practice that you can make up for not having someone talking with you, and doing active listening. So listening without English subtitles on and trying to understand it, even though you don't understand it. Trying to understand it. And then doing that at the same time as you're doing your regular language studies. So you're still learning new words. You're doing, reviewing vocab, the boring stuff, learning some grammar. Don't spend too much time on grammar and vocab. But you're doing the regular Korean studies while you're getting lots of this natural input that you're listening to and you're trying to understand. And then ultimately, you're still going to need someone to practice with. So online pen pals, there are lots of websites, lots of apps for that. You can join Discord channels that have native speakers that you can practice speaking with. You can try to make basic sentences with ChatGPT, but don't learn anything from it, again, because it doesn't make natural sentences back to you. But you can still practice your sentences to it if you need just somebody to throw basic sentences at. You just want to try to have a practice, like a sample conversation. You just want to practice with someone, then it could work for that. The shortcut is live in Korea and only speak Korean. Yes, that is the true shortcut. But it's also the hardest way to learn. But yeah, it is the best way to learn is going to Korea, speaking Korean. Giga asks, I'm just starting learning Korean with your beginner course, and after that, which one should I switch to? After you finish the beginner course, you will know what you can do. It brings you to a point that you will know what to do with your Korean learning after that. You'll have a good base to stand on that you can look out and you're like, oh, I get it now. I can do this, I can do this. But if you want to continue with a second course, if you're wondering, is there a sequel? Yes. I have a conversation course, which came out earlier this year. That is a direct sequel to the beginner course. So it only uses information that is taught previously in the beginner course. And it goes from there to like 100% natural conversation. Like it goes through native level conversation. It won't bring you to a native level, but it goes through 20 completely native level conversations in there. And yeah, that's a sequel to the beginner course. So you go from like beginner stuff, everything's kind of curated for beginning learning, to 100% natural conversations without any filtering. Everything's in there. Tiffany asks, is 싶어서 used to express opinion? I heard Koreans use it in interviews. Nope. That is a piece of a grammar form that means because something, but we don't know what it is without knowing the form before it. 싶다 is used in many grammar forms. It could be 고 싶다, like want to do, with 서, meaning because. So like 가고 싶어서, because I want to go. Or it could be a different 싶다, like 할까 싶다, which is like wondering or thinking or worrying or whatever. And then still this also part is because. So because I 싶다. But without knowing what comes before, I can't tell you what the usage of it, but it doesn't have anything like that, like you're asking. It's just simply a piece of a grammar form. But good question. You deleted your question? Oh, no, you didn't. You still wrote it. Okay. I saw you deleted the previous question. I was like, why'd you delete it? Why? Could I use Google Translate as a way to check if I'm pronouncing the word correctly? Sure. Yeah. But you can also, there's a better way to check if you're pronouncing a word correctly. Or is it D-I-C-T? I don't know. Anyway, Naver Dictionary. Naver Dictionary will have every word, and it'll be listed with the actual pronunciation in a box. So you'll have a word like sagwa, and it's like, oh, this one is pronounced like sagwa. This one's pronounced like sagwa. But you can ignore these, but just letting you know. It'll show the actual pronunciation. Like if you look up the word, like how would you say this word? You might think, if you've never seen this word before, or you don't recognize it, you might think, oh, chogun, right? Chogun. But it's actually pronounced as chogun. Chogun. And you wouldn't know that unless you've heard the word used before. But if you go to Naver Dictionary, it'll show you the word. It'll also show you the pronunciation for every single word in the entire universe. In Korean, anyway. So yeah, that's how you find out if you're saying the word correctly. If you want to check like a sentence though, not just a single word, but am I saying a sentence correctly? Then Google Translate's okay for that, but it'll understand even if you say it wrong because it knows the context of what the word should be. So don't rely on it completely. It'll understand you even if you said it wrong because it knows it should be said like this. And that's the word that matches in that situation. So you probably said this word. Oh, Mikey. Thank you, Mikey. Let me put your donation up here, and then I'm going to give you 5 dabs, and then I'll read your message. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and a 9, and a 10. Thank you so much, Mikey. Let me check out your message. Thanks. No better feeling to me than a convo with a native speaker with the pressure to fight the right words and being successful when they appear. ChatGPT doesn't give this feeling. That's why you need to speak with someone, because you get a human being to tell you if you said something understandable, if what you said was close enough, or if what you said was wrong, but they can fix it, then they'll correct it. And it's just hard though to get that. I'd say if you live far from Korea or there are no Koreans around you, you can't find any friends on online apps or anything. You're just not having any luck. Then there is another option. It's not free though, but that would be hiring a native Korean teacher, someone to practice with, because you're paying them literally to speak with you. They're not going to ghost you. They're not going to ignore you. You can do like 30-minute sessions. They have tutors that'll offer that for like, I don't know, $8, less than $10. You can do a 30-minute session and just do like 2 30-minute sessions a week, or 1 a week even, just to have always some time you're using Korean, and just say, hey, just speak only in Korean to me. Don't even use a single English word. You're paying them to do that. If they use an English word, you just fire them. Find another person. Have someone just to speak with you casually. They can speak slow. Just try to have a conversation. And then if you tried and you feel really awkward, like, oh, I don't like this, find someone else. You might find someone that you match with, that you feel like, oh, I actually think they're kind of cool, even though it's hard to talk. We have some things in common. You might find someone that actually matches with you that isn't so awkward. It's not just having to speak Korean with someone doesn't have to be a really scary, awkward thing if you find someone who you kind of match with. So I would try that. Maybe do a few trials, like book a trial with or a 30-minute session with like a few different tutors. Like try 3, 4, 5 tutors and see if one of them you like. And then try to meet with them, once a week or twice a week or whatever. Just do really short sessions and practice Korean. Something like that is fine too, if you don't want to go the free route, or if you haven't had a lot of luck with the free route. Because I know for me, I've found plenty of success meeting friends online, but it's not going to be the same for everyone. Cosma says, I sometimes get confused with words start with like kiok or kiok, tsiet or tsiet. Sometimes I hear Koreans say kiok with a lot of air coming out and I get really confused. I can't figure out the difference sometimes. If you hear a lot of air coming out, it's usually going to be the stronger version, because that is the difference between a regular and a strong consonant, is just more air. If you give me an example, I can explain away what's going on. But the best way is to know the word. It'll get easier the more words you know, because when you know what the word's supposed to be, you'll know that's what they meant to say, even if they said it wrong. Sometimes Koreans pronounce things wrong. Nastaria asks, Are you going to do more videos with Korean dialects? Yes. I need to meet some more people though. So I'm limited in the videos that I can do about dialects because I don't know enough people from dialect areas. I've done Daegu, I've done Busan. I haven't done an Ulsan dialect one yet though. I wanted to, but anyway, have I done Daejeon? I haven't done that region either. There are a lot of regions I haven't done. I've done Jeju as well, but I haven't done some other areas just because I don't know anyone who speaks it natively. Even though I have some friends who are from those areas, that doesn't mean that they speak the dialects very well, because these days most people don't speak dialects. They might know a few phrases they learned from like their friends or maybe from their grandparents, but most people don't speak it natively. So it's actually hard to find someone. The Daegu video I did was an exception because the Korean teacher, Jian-sem, from Kunyang Hangugo, the channel, she's in the video for Daegu. She's a bit of an exception in that she grew up with her grandmother, I believe. So she actually got the language like natively versus other people who might only learn bits and pieces here and there and have the intonation. She actually speaks like that, which was kind of fun. So that's why I wanted to make a video about the dialect. Otherwise, if I didn't know her, I would not have made that video with anyone else I knew in the area. Kim says, I've been studying Korean 1 year and I don't know how to combine the English alphabet together to make a sentence. English? Oh, why did I read English? Why did I think you said English? I guess because it said alphabet. Korean is an alphabet, that's right. To make a sentence, how can I do that to get better? Kim, have you started learning Korean? Like with lessons? So, let me just share this. Kim, try my beginner course. It's free. So I'm not trying to sell you something. It's literally free. I'll link it in the description. Sorry, in the chat right here. Start with that. That's the best advice that I can give you because the beginning of the course especially teaches the whole alphabet and then continues in how to put words together. I think you'll be fine following that course, at least for like the first couple dozen lessons. I think anyone could follow that without too much effort, without really having to practice and everything. You can still make it through a couple dozen lessons. Billy, when are you going to become an italki teacher? Well, I do have tutoring hours, believe it or not. Though next week, not so many because my kid's not going to have school for a couple days. But normally I do have tutoring hours. I just don't advertise it like tutoring because I'm not really a tutor in the sense. Like I can be like a counseling for Korean learning, like give you advice and stuff. But if you just want like a general everyday tutor, there are plenty of tutors on like italki or websites like that to find them. I do have tutoring hours though, if you're interested. I think I have a link here. Let me see. Yeah, I do have some hours here, but like I said, it's not something I would recommend. I won't recommend against it, but it's not something like you need to do if you're just looking for regular tutoring. I think it's more for if you want some general guidance on your learning and you kind of want to put some things together and you're like, Billy, I have this and this going on. This is how I'm learning. Okay, what do I need? Where am I at? That sort of like centering I can provide you with. I do have it on there but like I said, I don't really advertise it very much because I'm not trying to get students for it. I have it, I don't have very much free time. So you'll see there isn't very much free time available on there. Alondra says, this is my first time seeing you live. Do you happen to do it consistently? Yes, I do. I have a schedule. I'll post the schedule down below. You can see the hours that I do it. Sorry, the hours are the same, but you can see the days I do it in the future, all the previous ones, everything's there. Is it more of a generational reason that people don't really speak dialects? Nastaria asks. Or is it because more Konglish words? It's nothing to do with Konglish. It's only because of the way that people are raised. That in the past, it would have been that you were raised kind of as a group. Like your one family lives in the same house with like multiple generations in your same house. So you would grow up learning the way that not only how your parents are talking, but also how your grandparents are talking, because your parents might go out for work and your grandparents watch you. So you would learn to speak the same way your grandparents would speak, and you talk with your friends who are also in the same situation. So the dialects would they still are changing, but they wouldn't change quite as rapidly because you're still keeping that same language. Nowadays, though, that's not really what happens. Kids go to school, they go to daycare to get raised, right? Or their parents send them to school. You don't have to just stay home all day. And then if they stay home, their parents might watch them. Like the parents live separately from the grandparents more often. So you get a lot of like losing the dialect really quickly. And the people who still speak dialect are the ones typically now that are just, they've been raised by their grandparents. And there's also a negative perception of speaking a dialect among Koreans in that if you don't sound like everyone else, you stand out. And Koreans often don't want to like stand out and sound like they feel like they might sound, oh, I sound a little bit weird. My friends might make fun of me if I use my dialect. So I'm going to speak normally like Seoul dialect, right? So that's why you get a lot of people that are suppressing their own dialects. And then after you do that for so long, you lose the dialect. You lose a lot of it. You might have some of the intonation, but you're going to lose a lot of like the expressions and words you used just because you're not exposed to them anymore. That and the fact that most Koreans want to live in major cities and most Koreans want to live in Seoul as well. So most people are in Seoul and major cities. And when you live in those cities, it's much more of a feeling that you want to become standardized with everyone else, how everyone else is talking. So the people who still speak dialects are the ones who don't do that in the lesser, the smaller areas, the smaller cities, and the ones that are also raised by their grandparents. And you get fewer people that end up growing to an adulthood that still speak a certain dialect. And even when they do, it's not going to be as strong because they still, even if they're raised by their grandparents, they still go to school with their friends who weren't raised by their grandparents. So that's kind of what's going on. You don't hear too many people who are like really strong dialect speakers who are young. It just doesn't really happen. There are some exceptions, but for the most part, if you meet someone who says they're from a certain area, don't assume that they speak that dialect. They might have some intonation. They can show you a few expressions. They might say, oh, my grandmother used this word, but it's not really going to be like they would ever use that word or they would ever speak like that. Okay, I'll take a couple more questions and then we'll stop for today. I don't want to go too long. Any questions about Korean or Korea are welcome for right now. It wasn't that bad. This was like a lemonade, kind of. So yeah, hopefully that makes sense. I think it's kind of sad though, because dialects in Korea are really cool and Korea is small as it is. So I want to see the dialects I want to see people still using the dialects a lot because Korea is so small. It's kind of hard to be far enough away from the major cities to actually use or need to keep any of those dialects alive. The worst though is the Jeju, just because of how few native speakers there are left. Like you can count, it's just a few thousand people. Now it's probably like 4,000. There's like less than 5,000 people now. It might even be less because the number I found was from like several years ago that it claimed like about 5,000. But now I'm guessing it's even lower than that of people who actually speak the language or the dialect natively. That one's really few. Any book recommendations in Korean? If you want a book, I would say the best recommendations are going to be comics because if I recommend you like a novel, it's going to be really difficult, hard to read. And then the grammar and vocab you're learning from that will not translate over well into your regular conversation. So it's going to be kind of like useless, I think, unless you're trying to just get better at reading, not speaking. Most people aren't. Most people are trying to get better at speaking the language, not just getting faster and better at reading it. So I would say comics are better because they'll have people talking, even though it's not going to be perfectly natural. It's more like actually how people speak than reading a book, which is how people tell stories. So I would say get a comic, get a Korean mana, get some mana books, and that's what I would recommend for reading. That's what I do for my kid as well. We get him history comics, science comics, like cooking comics, like whatever. And if you want to find those books, go into the Korean kids section of a bookstore. And they'll have a lot of books that are for kids, but not like baby books, not like the red ball. Oh, look at the ball. These aren't those types of stories. These are comics that are specifically made for kids. And they're not easy Korean. It's just that they're simpler topics that kids can enjoy. They're not going to go like in depth into history. It'll be a really like a fun, dramatized version of the historical event like that. But the Korean in them is mostly real, like actually how people would speak. And the books are fun to read. So just don't get something for like little kids. Look for stuff that's like for maybe around 10-year-olds to read. Like stuff that my kid right now is reading would probably be fine as a Korean learner to use and would be fun to learn. And then you get to learn, you know, Korean history or, you know, music or horror stories or something else while you're doing it as well. You should write a book about dialects. I don't know enough about dialects to write a book about it. I mean, all the Korean dialects I know, it's like from studying it myself, but I didn't like specifically just research dialects, like spend years researching dialects like some Koreans have. So I think Koreans would be more suitable, like a native speaker who's spent their life researching that for writing a book than someone like me who, yeah, I mean, I know some dialects, but it's not like a linguistical genius level of knowledge or anything like that to write a book. How concerned are you with the air quality in Korea? Evolving brain. Yes, is my answer. I am concerned about it because I am sensitive to that. What happens is when the air quality is bad on a certain day, my throat gets sore. So I have to drink a lot of extra water. And I recommend if you're in Korea when the air quality is bad, which is typically every month, but it's worse on some months. Just like I know spring can be kind of bad, fall can be kind of bad, but if the air quality is like really bad, keep an air purifier in your house. They're not that expensive, and that'll keep the air, at least in your house, will be nice and good. And then when you're outside in a public area, just wear like a simple cloth mask. You don't need like a super strong mask because it's just like dust you're filtering out. And that'll help as well if you have like a sensitive throat. If you can't do any of that, you don't want to wear a mask, then just drink a ton of extra water and accept that your throat is going to be sore. Oh, hey, Kai. Wait a minute, Kai. It's not the top of the hour. Kai, it's not the top of the hour yet. I'm going to do some dabs and then I'm going to read your message. What's going on? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. What's going on, Kai? Since we may not make it to another top of the hour donation. Oh, that's true. Yeah, I'm not going to go to the top of the hour because it'll be, it's a while. I have to edit this video. You know, I edit all of these videos immediately after finishing the live stream every single day. I will load up the video in my computer. I'll take down all this stuff I have in my room, which you can't see, but there's a lot of stuff for it. And then, yeah, it takes a lot of time to edit. So you say, let's make it an even 100 at least. Is it? Oh, it is. It's I can see it's $99.96. That is awesome. Thank you. P.S. Where do you recommend getting those comics? Okay, this is not sponsored at all. I actually filmed a video right before I came back to the US in Korea where I went with my kid to a Korean bookstore. So I'm letting you know, I'm not announcing this because I don't like announcing videos far in advance because then you're like waiting for it. But I did this video. I don't know when it'll go up. Maybe in a couple months, you'll see it on my channel. We went to a Korean bookstore and I gave my kid some money and he picked out whatever books he wants. There are a lot of places you can get books in Korean. In Korea, it's easy to find. Any bookstore will have a children's section. Online, however, you want to search for what's called a 배대지, which is a proxy shipping address. This is an address where you put in for when you place your order and you put your shipping address, you give it this address instead of your actual address, and then this place receives your package with your name on it and forwards it to you wherever you are in whatever country. Koreans use this a lot to get stuff from the US. They'll order the item to their proxy shipping location in the US, and then that will ship it to Korea, you know, and make sure they check all the customs laws and fill out the paperwork and everything. You can do it the other way as well for Korea. So you can try that if there's an item you want in Korea really bad, but they won't ship to the US. You can try to find a pedeji that will ship to your country, to your state, or wherever you are. If you go to, the simplest is this kyobo. Any store that ends with mungo. There are actually a lot of them. This is like kyobo books. I guess you just translate it as books. Kyobo Books is like the biggest, I think. They have lots of stores in Korea. You can buy books from them as well. The one that we went to in the video with my kid is called Yeongpung Mungo. That was, I really liked it actually. We went there for the video, not sponsored. I wish they paid me. I wish they at least bought the books that we bought there. No, we spent like $100 there. It was like $50 there. Anyway, yeah. And then you can also go to like, there's another website. There's like 11th Street. There's Kupang. I believe we'll have books too. There is, what else is there? Oh, I had another one in my head. I just blanked. But anyway, there are lots of websites that you can buy books from in Korea. Oh, I think Yes. Like Yes 20, Yes something. There's another website that for Korean books. If you search a book in Korea, you'll find that it's listed as in one of these websites. Check if they ship to your country. They might actually ship to your country. If they don't, though, you can try doing a proxy shipping address. If they don't, you can check to see if the book is for sale on eBay or on Amazon. That's another place to check too, although it might be more expensive. Just kind of research, do your own research, as they say. Try to find where they sell the book that you're looking for. But there isn't like one place that I know of in the US anyway for ordering the books, because a lot of the books that I order for my kid aren't even available in the US. But yeah, that's where I would say to get books from. It was a lot of fun though, going to the bookstore with my kid, because how many books they had that looked legitimately fun that I would read them if I wasn't buying these books for my kid. Like they had science books that were like taught by characters in some series, like like a cartoon character series that you'd be familiar with. Those characters teaching math or science. Like how fun, that would be so much fun if I was a kid to like learn about math, but not have to do it just with the math stuff, but like the characters are teaching it, right? Or science, or he does some with history. There's a book series of Korean idioms and expressions and hanja and phrases. Like it teaches Korean, but it's for Korean kids, and they're taught by these characters that give like goofy examples and teach this. It's really like funny for the kids, but the kids don't really realize that the books are 100% educational and teaching them like expressions and idioms and hanja and stuff like that. So yeah, they're really fun. That specific series is that 바로 써먹는? Hold on, let me check. Yeah. 읽으면서 바로 써먹는. I'll write it down. Basically, 써먹다 is just to use, that you use. You use right away while reading it. So it's like use right now is the series title. And they have Korean books, but they're comics. They're manhwa. They're like little short comics with goofy characters that look like sponges and like rice cake. And they have books. They have like a lot of books. If I check, they have like 20, they have over 20 books. But they'll have like books on like expressions for emotions, like 맞춤법, which is like, spelling in Korean, or spacing rules, or hanja, or like stuff like that. Anyway, they teach a bunch of stuff, but they teach it in kind of a fun way. So these books would be cool for learning Korean because they're made for Korean kids, but they're not boring. They're pretty fun. And yeah, eBay would have stuff. There will be Korean sellers that sell stuff on eBay. If it's a popular book, they might have it, though you'd pay more for it, but at least you can get it. That's great, says, does 어떻게 take on multiple meanings and contexts? Yes, because it means how. But if you give me a sentence, I can give you some examples. But yeah, it has lots of uses anytime you'd want to say how. But literally, it's just how. But if you're using it, and if you're using it in a question, you translate it as how. If you're using it in a statement, so not as a question, you can also think of it as meaning somehow. Kind of like 어떻게든, like somehow. Can you please show the books that has the... I have them in my house, but they're not in here in the room. I'd have to steal them from my kid because he has them. I can ask him if he can bring me one. 제레미, 그 바로 써먹는 그 읽으면서 바로 써먹는 그 시리즈 있잖아. 제레미? 제레미, 그거 한 권만 가져와줘. 저기 있는 거 한 권만 가져와. 됐어 제레미 됐어. 내가 할게. 그냥 아무거나. I'm bringing you one. Just 1 second. I was asking my kid for one, but he's too busy using his Korean tablet, watching some cartoon. I think he's watching Pokemon in Korean. So he's busy. 아무거나. Here's one. Here's one of them. We have like all of them pretty much. They're not that expensive. I think they're like, this is like 12,000원. So that's like what? Like $9 for each. This one is 어린이 고사성어. So this is like child, old, idiomatic expressions. So it's like, it's legitimately, these like Hanja stuff. It's like legitimately hard Korean stuff that like advanced learners in Korean would learn. Here, like 작심삼일. Can't really see. 작심삼일 is literally like making your heart. So like deciding to do something. 마음 먹다. 3 days. 3일. So it's when you decide to do something, but then you give up after 3 days is what the expression means. It's like you don't, when you determine to do something, usually that determination only lasts a short time. Like we'd say like short-lived resolve in English. And then it shows you how it's used, how it's pronounced. It has the characters. 아직 자고 있잖아? Hey, you're still asleep. And then it has like snore, snore. Like pulls the sheet off of him. 왜 깨우는 거야? Like, why are you waking me up? Anyway, it's like little comics of the characters talking with each other. They're short for each one. And then they explain like, oh, I decided to do something and haha, you're only going to do that for 3 days. Like that. So it's just like a cute way to learn Hanja idioms. Oh, they actually have the one that the other person mentioned today. Here. 전화 위복 is in here as well. Someone mentioned that earlier in the chat. 전화 위복. And then it has a little comic of the characters using it in kind of a funny way. Again, this is not sponsored. I need some sponsors, don't I? I mentioned so much stuff. I just mentioned so many good stuff for free. They should pay me to say this, but I'll just let you know for free that it's good product. I like that series, but there are so many good series out there. I wish that there was a company that sold Korean books, like actually lots of Korean books in the US that I could just recommend. If anyone knows of a company that does that, that has like a large selection of actually Korean books that sells and ships to the US and other countries, then let me know. Because I get this question a lot, actually. Oh, Mikey is talking, the other person talking about 어떻게, which is not 어떻게, although it's pronounced as 어떻게, that's a different word. Can you find these types of books on Kindle? No. Kindle doesn't even officially support Korean. Like, you can get Korean language books on Kindle, but officially they don't support it because they don't want to. They support Japanese. They support other languages. They just don't want to support Korean. Team here before the sponsors. Yeah, I wish. I'm not against accepting a sponsorship, in case anyone's wondering, like, Billy, why have you never done a sponsored, you never do sponsored videos or sponsored content? I'm not against it. It's just, I haven't found anything that I legitimately could tell you honestly that I use anyway that also wants to sponsor me. Like, I've gotten some requests from companies, I won't say, that have asked me to do sponsored content. You might have heard of them, but like, I don't use their product and I wouldn't recommend it, or I wouldn't recommend it for Korean learning, something like that. So I haven't done a video on it because like, I can't say, oh, this is awesome if I don't think it's awesome, right? At least I should think it's awesome to say that it's awesome. So I wish some of these companies, like book companies, would sponsor me, because that's like, hey, I could totally do like giveaways, and every time they release a new book, I can release like a video review of the book. That would be totally cool, but I don't know any sponsors for that. Google Play Books. Google Play has some books too. I haven't checked to see what other books they have. And I think Aladdin will ship to the US, though I've only gotten magazines from them. Okay, if you find one company... Ah, those ship to the US? Good. Cool. So there's been a development in the situation. Someone who I won't name, but her name rhymes with my wife, found a list of bookstores that ship to the US that have Korean books. Thank you so much. That's why I married you. US. Oh, yeah. K-bookstore? K-bookstore what? K-bring cool. 고맙다. Okay. These will ship to the US. Okay, if any of you work here, please sponsor me. I will actually take that sponsorship. Okay, Pandibook, so Bandy Books in the US. Aladdin, as you said, the US version. K-Bookstore, I don't know these. And Bring Co. These will ship Korean books to probably to your country, although at least they do to the US, they probably do to other countries too. The problem is they won't have every single book you're looking for, and that's why usually when we go to Korea, we still buy books in Korea. Also to get the best prices, we'll just buy it in Korea. But these seem to have shipping internationally, so that's really good news. So you can ignore my advice about the proxy shipping company, and you can just try one of these. I didn't say it was my wife. I said her name rhymes with my wife. Could be someone else. Just don't tell my wife. Honestly, I really appreciate the integrity. Thank you. Thank you so much. I really do care about it. There's King and Park. I don't know that one. Like I said, I am totally aware of Pandy Books and Aladdin. I didn't know these two, but she had them written down already. I think she had actually, oh, she had texted me. I didn't see it though, because my phone was off. But yeah, okay. These are any place that you can get books shipped to you. So yeah, write those down. Check them out. Tell them Billy sent you. They'll be like, what? Who? Kong and Park? Okay, I haven't heard of that either. Do they also ship to the US? Check there too. Yeah. Anyway, there are so many cool kids books out there. I don't really want to recommend any specific just because you want to find something that you like. That's the key point. Don't just buy like that kid's series because Billy said his kid likes it. You find books that you think look interesting because you will. Like maybe you prefer, that kind of book's cool, but what you really want is something to learn about Korean history, right? Or maybe Korean cooking. They have like cooking comic books where the characters talk about cooking and like making recipes, and you feel like you're just reading a comic. They have like books about everything. So find something that you like, not necessarily what my 8-year-old kid likes. If it's not your wife, why is she texting you? Like I said, shh. Why is she in my house? That's the bigger question. Why is she in my house listening to what I'm talking about downstairs? That's the bigger question you should ask. Does my wife watch the stream? No, not usually. Although she has said that she's watched sometimes. Like if she's with someone else and they wanted to watch my stream, then she'll watch the stream too. Otherwise, why does she want to see me any more than she has to? I'm a girl's girl, Billy. I got to snitch. Okay, well, I'm not going to fault you on that. That's I can respect that. I use my friend as a proxy if I'm really struggling. Yes. Okay. Any other questions? Doesn't have to be like books, Korean life, Korean language, anything. Any other questions? I wonder if this is expired. I still have one of these. I know it's expired. It should be okay. I just noticed I still have this. I also still have like cookie boxes and stuff for BTS. Those are definitely expired. Just randomly saw it while putting the book back. What bookstore do you recommend in Korea? Would be Kyobo. Kyobo, if you can find it. Although I went to Yongpung and I really liked that too. I just like that it was simpler than Kyobo. The problem with Kyobo has everything, but that's also a problem if you don't know what you want. Like if you know what you want, Kyobo is great because you know they're going to sell it. They're going to have like every version of it. But if you don't know what you want, you just kind of want to look around, right? Then go to a smaller bookstore, and you'll find small bookstores all over the place. They'll have like a kids section or this section, and it'll be small. And you can like look at every single book they have. They won't have like every edition of the book. They might only have like number 16 of a comic. And you're like, you read it, you're like, oh, this is really cool. I want this. Then you can at least go online and buy editions 1 through 15 before you get that one. So I like smaller bookstores if I don't know what I want to get. And Yongpung Mungo was really good for that because it was like, it wasn't gigantic. It was big, but it was not too big that I could still look around and see all the stuff that they had. The cookies were, the almond cookies were mid, but the butter cookies were top tier. I'll say that. It was the best butter cookies I've ever had. And I've had a lot of those Dutch, you know, those like the tins that you turn into like sewing boxes. Those cookies, I've had a lot of those. Those butter cookies by BTS were top tier. They were better than those. But the almond cookies were mid. I'm like, I've had better. The lollipop, I ate one of them actually, because I had a few of them. I ate one of them, and it tasted good, but the shape is so big, unless you have like a gigantic mouth, it hurts your mouth to suck on it. So like you can't really suck on it. You have to like lick it like you're a little tiny kid at a theme park. You're like 1,000 times. It was really uncomfortable to eat it. I wish it was a little bit smaller. Lollipop must be green, did it? Oh yeah, it is kind of like a yellowish color, so that's probably why. Where do you see yourself in 15 years? I hope still alive. And probably still on this channel, begging for donations, asking if anyone knows a sponsor I can have, and desperately trying to stay relevant by uploading another video called How to Start Learning Korean, updated 2040. I'm working on it. I think I was looking into the wrong areas in Seoul because I can't remember any bookstores except when I looked for the bookstore RM went to. Oh, there are so many bookstores. You'll find a bookstore if you go online and you search for Seojeom. They are everywhere in Korea. You can't go anywhere without finding a bookstore. Really, like even last time in Korea when I stayed in an area that was kind of out of the way, that wasn't near any of like, it wasn't near anything really close. You'd have to walk like 15 minutes to the closest subway station. Even there was a bookstore like within a 5-minute walk. So yeah, just search Seojeom on Naver. You'll find one. It might not be the biggest one, but they'll have a bookstore. They're really common. These days, they even have what's known as a muin. So like mu is no, in is person. So like non-manned bookstore where there's no one working there. And you just walk in and you pick the book you want, you scan it and pay and leave. There's no one watching you. Obviously, you can't steal it because then they'll check the security cameras and, you know, track you down. They'll send the Terminator after you. What's on your background today? Oh, I didn't even mention it because I don't really know. I think it's just some rocks on the East Sea, like the east side of Korea. Some rocks. I don't know. At this point, like, I just go somewhere every single week. I don't really pay attention to where I'm traveling every week. Are you more a minimalist than a hoarder? I am minimalist. My wife is more of a hoarder. So we get left with this. So our house is kind of like in this interesting middle ground where, she's not actually like a hoarder like that, but I mean, she's more in we might use it someday, but she won't keep literal trash. She'll keep like actual useful stuff, but she'll keep it even if I'm like, we probably don't need that, but whatever. Like for an example, I found a lanyard that I had. It was just a plain, like a lanyard you get for free when you attend an event that you clip your ticket onto. And I was like, oh, I got this lanyard. I don't need it because it's like, you don't need, it's only for like a specific type of badge. So I threw it in the trash. She pulled it out. She's like, why'd you throw this away? This is perfectly good. I mean, admittedly, it was in good condition, but I'm like, so that's the kind of hoarder that she is. I would be more of a minimalist that I would throw away stuff that I might even kind of need, but I just really can't use it. Like, I don't need this extra thing, and I don't like this. I'll just kind of toss it or give it to someone, donate it like that. But I'm not also a hard minimalist. Like, I'm not going to get rid of stuff that I'm using or that I think I will need. Judy says, I looked up Seoljam and there was one close to where I stayed. There you go. And there probably are even more, but they just don't show up in Naver if they don't like pay for the advertising. So it's possible there could be another small one that like opened recently that doesn't have an entry. But yeah, there's gonna be one anywhere you are in Korea, unless you're like in the middle of nowhere, in which case you might have to walk a mile or two to get to one. But even in the middle of nowhere, they're gonna have, like, even in like 시골 areas, like just countryside areas, you're still gonna have a bookstore there because people still live there and have kids and want to buy books for their kids. Judy says, I just needed the word to search, so thank you. Yeah, literally, Seoljam means, Seo is book, Jom is store, so Seoljam means bookstore. Evolving Brain said, did your wife convert you to a night shower? So the stereotype is that Westerners shower in the morning and Asians shower at night. Very specific question. I don't think my wife was a night shower, but I can't remember. She's a morning shower. So if anything, I converted her, but I'm not sure if she was a night shower before because I didn't really pay attention to that. I can't really remember. And, oh yeah, Sprinkle says, I tried pink lady apples. I did too. So if you checked on Discord, if you're a member of the Discord, you should be if you're not. I have a free Discord. It's open all day, every single day. And in the Discord, I posted a picture of a bag of the pink lady apples that I got. And they're really good. They're really good. Last one standing last time had donated from the Apple lobby, telling me to get the pink lady apples. I never had tried them before just because I saw them. I'm like, what is this? It sounds weird. Like, it's probably, there's no way it's going to be that good. It was actually really good because what it lacks in like sweetness. It's not like overly sweet. It's like, it's less sweet than the other apples that I know, but it makes up for it with like this nice tangy flavor. So it's kind of like, it's not a green apple, like really sour, but like a tiny bit of sourness. So it makes it really like a complex flavor. It was good. I liked it. Kai! Oh, it is the top of the hour again. How did this happen? I was supposed to end the stream. I was supposed to end the stream like 20 minutes ago. I think I got really distracted by the books and forgot to do that. Well, look at that. Top of the hour donation. Let me do a dabs real quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now let me read your message that you wrote me. Thank you, Kai. Also, a big thank you to Miss Billy for the resources. I've been looking for a place to order books that I can trust. She's never been on this channel. She probably won't ever be, but she is a genius. She knows a lot of stuff. So if I ever need help finding something like an item I want to order in Korea or like good books to get for our kid, instead of trying to search it myself, I'll just ask her because she can search a lot better for that sort of thing. She's really good at that. Hey, Evolving Brain. Thank you, Evolving Brain. Has your brain finished evolving yet? You've been an Evolving Brain now for like how many years? Have you been evolving? Or is it just a lifelong evolve? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Or is it like Pokemon where you evolve once or twice? Evolving Brain says, top of the hour donation for fielding my question. 고맙습니다. This is still going toward the Subway cookie. Oh, don't tempt me like that. Don't tempt me like that. The Subway, they have a $5 foot-long cookie that I don't want to buy because I know I'm going to eat it all by myself. I don't even know if it's going to be good, but they're in, like I said, there's basic Subway cookies are the best cookies, best chocolate chip cookies I've ever had. Just the plain old, simple, like $1 each Subway cookies that they have. Oh my gosh, those are so good. Hey, Radio Citrus. Radio Citrus, hey. I didn't think I'd be writing your name up here. Radio Citrus, a good buddy of mine. He makes totally actually I won't say. It's a different one. Radio Citrus is a good buddy. Is there a fast way to learn only the Korean food words? For example, what's the word for burrito? Only the Korean food. Okay, your question's a little bit odd. You say Korean food words and then you mention burrito. Burrito is not a Korean food word, but yeah, you would probably look up something like 한국 음식 단어, literally Korean food vocabulary, or you can just search it in English, Korean food vocabulary list. And then someone will have made a list of like all of the common words. This would be something you could just ask ChatGPT for, is a list of vocabulary words. I mean, it might give you some that are like weird, but in general, yeah, Korean food vocabularies. Search this, you're gonna find like too many videos that are teaching this sort of stuff. Oh, Judy! No, I missed Judy's donation because it came right after. It came right after. Oh, I didn't even notice Judy's donation. I'm sorry, I almost missed it. Judy, 10 dabs for you as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I sometimes think about this though, like what if I were to just stream for like 5 hours in one day? Would I be able to pay for my electric bill? Oh my goodness. So my electric bill, hold on, let me read Judy's message. For the keyword on neighbor. Oh yes. Oh no. Any keywords you know, ask me. I'd be happy to share. Normally we tend to use as little electricity as possible. We're the type of people that we turn off the lights when we leave the room. When we leave the house, we have like a keyword we tell our Alexa and it shuts off all the lights in the house. We turn off our air conditioner when we're gone for the day. We keep our air conditioner normally at 82 degrees, which is like, you know, it's not cool at all in the summer. And so we try to use electricity as little as possible. Obviously, I use electricity right now. We use electricity to, you know, we're not going to burn up in our houses in the summer, but we try to use it, you know, sparingly if we can. But still, like last month, we paid $270, $280 for our electricity bill. I'm like, I barely even used it just because of how hot it's been and the air conditioner is still on for a few hours every day. Yeah, so I told my wife though last time I did the live stream, I think the last time I did the live stream, I made like $150 or something from the Apple lobby, if you remember correctly. So I told her like, hey, the Apple lobby paid for our electricity for this month. So I'm wondering, what if I were to stream for like five hours stream once a month to pay for our electricity? It's not a bad job. I am Ben says, I think the normal Subway cookies are better than the big one. Oh, you've tried the big one. I haven't tried it. Okay. The normal ones are just enough to keep you wanting more. See, that's the thing is if you order like 1 or 2 of the normal ones, they're good. But I fear if you had like 5 of the normal ones, you'd get kind of sick of it because it's just too much sugar, right? Too much of a good thing. Burrito. My kid actually called my microphone right here. I used to have a silver colored one, which before I upgraded my microphone, I had a silver colored one, which was actually donated by a fan. Like 1 year after I started my channel, I didn't even have a microphone for my YouTube channel, believe it or not. I didn't have a microphone. I was a YouTuber and I didn't own a microphone. I was using like a $20 stick microphone I had from eBay, which at the time was just garbage. If you watch my earlier videos, the quality of the audio is it's straight from my camera. And I had a silver one donated by a fan that was just like round and silver. And my kid, who didn't speak very much, Jeremy, he would call it a burrito because it looked kind of like a silver wrapped burrito that I would sometimes eat. So that's all I think of when I think of burrito is my kid looking at my microphone and saying burrito. Like I was talking into a burrito every time I was recording a video. If you do, let me know ahead of time so I can get my bank account. It's just a way to siphon money straight from Kai's bank account into my electric bill. It's very, very warm. It's okay. It's if you dress for it, you don't wear like a suit. You wear just like a t-shirt and shorts around the house. You drink plenty of water. You're not like exercising in the house. It's okay. If you're relaxed and you're not doing too much, turn on the fans. Fans don't use much electricity. Then it's livable. And then at nighttime when we're sleeping, we make sure it's like 81 at nighttime. So a little cooler at night because you don't want it to be like warm when you're trying to sleep. That's just gross. We do the same in the winter. Also, we let it get cold in our house and we just bundle up because, it's just really expensive to run the heater all the time in the winter when it gets cold. Do I have central AC? Yeah, it's central. The reason it was a lot is because it's like tiered. Like if you use this much, you pay this much. But if you use this much, you pay this much. Like it doubles for the usage you use above the tier. And even though we use less than we did 2 years ago, just the energy company keeps increasing the bill just because they can. Like a lot of fast food companies during COVID, they're like, hey, let's use this as an excuse to increase our prices. It's just one of those things. Just company greed, So yeah. Well, I swear though, we don't use that much. We use less than most people I know. At least less than my mom. I haven't tried the big one. I've been to Subway recently. I didn't even see it there. Yeah, they have a large cookie for like $5 or $6. They also have a pretzel, which is terrible. Don't get the pretzel. By the time you get home, it's rock hard and chewy. And then they also have a churro, but the churro is like $3. I'm like, why would you buy their churro for $3 when you can get a Costco churro for less? That's bigger. That probably tastes better. So I haven't tried their churro though. The only one I was interested in was the cookie. But like I said, it looks like it's just too big. At that point, just let me pay. Okay, I'll wire you I'll send you my bank information. You can just wire it straight over to me. I'll let you, on the 12th of each month when my electric bill comes in, I'll just send it to you. I'll have them put it on the Kai account. Remember $5 footlongs? Oh yeah, so this is the most Korean language advice that I can give you. The biggest piece of Korean language advice I can ever give you is when you're buying stuff at Subway, try the coupons, like some price. It'll be 3 numbers for a price and then FL, or FL and then that number. That's a common coupon code for Subway. It might be $6.99 footlong or $7.99 footlong, depending on where you are. Check those sorts of coupons. Check like Subway coupon codes, and you'll find they often have one that starts or ends with FL for your footlong. And if you do it for a pickup order, or then you can get it. It doesn't do it if you go to the store. You can't say I have a coupon code. You have to do it when you order. So order through the app or online, and you can still get them pretty cheap. I think we still get them for like $6.99 for a footlong, even here in LA. And they also have coupon codes where you get like, I think it's like T2FL or something, where you get like buy 2 and get it 1 free. That's a common coupon code, which is even better because one of them can cost like $12. So you're getting each of them for $6 instead of $7. And then they have a code for 3 of them for like $19, which is also even a little cheaper depending on how you use it. Anyway, yeah, just make sure to check for coupon codes. But if you just walk in Subway and try to buy them, they're really expensive. Still, I'll say, even with that discount, Subway today is not the Subway of the past that used to sell the $5 footlongs. Because I used to be able to split a Subway with my wife. We'd get 1 footlong, and you'd get a bag of chips, like Doritos or whatever, pour them out on a plate, and we'd make like a little salad, and we'd share a Subway sandwich. Share 1 Subway footlong, and you'd be decently satisfied. You're like, no, you're not stuffed, but you're like, I'm good. Now we each eat our own Subway, and we're still like hungry because they made them smaller. Come on, Subway. Why did you do that? You're just driving me to go to Jersey Mike's now all the time because your Subway sandwiches got too small. Jersey Mike's, though, are still pretty big. But anyone knows what I'm talking about. Subway used to be much bigger. Everyone's arguing McDonald's versus Burger King. Oh, those are both. I don't want to say, I don't want to lose the sponsorships that I could get, but neither of them are that good, in my opinion. McDonald's has good breakfast. I like the McDonald's breakfast items because they're so unhealthy and tasty. Burger King, just everything I have at Burger King is just like dissatisfying for me. I don't know. I just don't like it. I'm not a fan. I know some people like love the Whopper. They love that sort of flavor that Burger King burgers have. I'm not a fan of it. And their onion rings are okay. But if I want onion rings, there are other local places I can go to that make better onion rings that are also just the same price. I worked at Subway, can confirm it's not the same. Yeah, it's not the same. They think they're going to trick me by making the prices the same. Like, oh, here, we're going to have a special deal where you get this. You know, I know it's not what it used to be. They used to pack those. They were big. Like you get one Subway, it was like this big. It was like packed with stuff. And now it's like, they'll give you like half of a slice of cheese that they like cut in half and you can like see through it. Can I get some olives, please? They grind like 3 olives into like a powder and sprinkle it over. Can I get some more? They'll like grab one. It's like they're just more stingy with the ingredients that they add. And I'm sure there's a reason. I'm sure it's just prices went up and they need to charge this much amount of money. Okay, but have an option where we can get the actual Subway sandwich and make it more expensive. I'll pay for it. Just give me the full sandwich. Keith says, I quite enjoy Little Caesars 5 pizza. That's where it's at. Although it's no longer $5 in my area, it's now $8.50 for the basic pizza, like cheese or pepperoni. The simple one is now like $8. But that's not a terrible thing because you can get the next best pizza there, the next more expensive. They have a pepperoni one that's filled with pepperoni that's crispy. It's literally covered, the entire pizza. Every like space is filled with pepperoni that's all crispy. And it's like $3 more than the $8 one. I think it's like $11 after tax or something. It is so good. It's worth it. So I don't feel bad about not being able to buy the cheaper ones for $5 because that one for $10 or $11 more than makes up for it. It totally feeds 3 people. Like I can eat that with my wife and we'll have leftovers. Really good. And if you haven't had Little Caesars pizza in a long time, they're better. They're better than they were like 20 years ago when it was just like you're eating cardboard and it was really chewy and gross and didn't taste good the day after. Now they actually tastes like real pizza. So Moonwalker says, I wish Five Guys were cheaper. Yeah, we're talking about food here. This has nothing to do with Korea. I am legitimately impressed that 61 of you are hanging out to listen to me talk about Five Guys, Subway, all these Korean questions. Yeah, Five Guys. I went there. I go there. I can maybe go there like once a year on a special occasion. I'll get one burger for myself, one burger for my wife, and she shares it with Jeremy, our son, who's 8. We'll get one order of large fries and we'll get one shake. If that, we might not even get a shake. $45. I'm not kidding you. Like it comes up almost to $50 and that's without tip. I don't tip at a fast food place, so I'm not even paying tip. It's like $45. What? Like what about that was worth $45? Like their burgers are like $14 for a single burger. So you're paying $30 just to get 2 burgers. The order of fries is $8 and they don't even, and everyone talks about how Five Guys gives you like so many fries you can't finish it. No, they don't. Maybe they did like a decade ago. Now they just literally give you a large order of fries. They just like, you know, the little bag's like halfway full and you can easily, I could eat that all by myself. It wasn't that big of a deal, but I'm paying like $8 something for a large order of fries. Shakes are good though. I'll give them that. And the burgers are good too. Like you're not like wasting your money or anything, but is it like $14 good? I don't know. I'd rather just buy like 5 In-N-Out burgers for that price. I mean, yeah, it's better, but it's just so expensive. I wish it was affordable too. I wish they had like a more affordable option that was thinner. Like just make the patty a little bit thinner. I swear they're not really giving you very much for it though. It's just that they taste really good. But as far as like ingredients, there's nothing really expensive they're putting into it. I don't work there though. I've never worked there. So I don't know if there's something secret they're doing behind the scenes that makes it so expensive. Maybe because they fry their fries in peanut oil. It's not a big deal. Yeah, I like them, but yeah, 50 guys, 50 guys is probably more accurate. I swear, if I go there for lunch, if I actually ordered everything I wanted, it would easily be like $80 for me and my wife and my kid, just because it's not enough. They just don't give you enough. And when we eat that, we get 2 burgers and a large order of fries and a shake. We're not full. We're like, okay, that was okay. Like I could have gone to a regular restaurant for $50 and gotten full. Kanisha says, Billy is the first video I came across that broke the language down for me better. Oh, thank you. Have you tried the frozen kimbap available in Trader Joe's and sometimes Costco? Yes, I have. They are different. So Costco has their own brand. Trader Joe's, it started with Trader Joe's. Trader Joe's is a distributor. So for those of you who don't know, it's just a company that orders from companies that make stuff. They pick out interesting products at good prices and they distribute them in all their stores. So they picked up a Korean company that makes frozen kimbap. Believe it or not, yes, frozen kimbap that you defrost, you put it in the microwave. That sounds horrible, right? But the thing is that this company actually made it really good. So they didn't put like, it doesn't have like meat or tuna or anything like that, or anything that gets weird when you microwave it. It ends up tasting really good after you microwave it, just like real kimbap, but slightly warm. And they got really popular with the Asian community because they're like, oh my God, these actually taste like pretty good. So all of us Americans see that and we're like, what? Why is the kimbap always sold out? It must be pretty good. So we start buying it too. Turns out everyone likes it. They're never in stock at Trader Joe's, so much that Costco, who is also a distributor, is like, then they found a different company that would make frozen kimbap for them, and they got them too. It's okay. The Costco has one. Walmart, the Sam's Club, I think also has one. A couple stores now carry their own. They have their own companies that they make them. The Trader Joe's one is the best, in my opinion, but the other ones are also pretty good too. And yes, I've tried them. I just had one again like a couple weeks ago. If you want kimbap, whenever you want it, they're really good. Sometimes you just want kimbap, but you don't want to drive down like to the Korean market, or you can't find a Korean market. They fill the void. Lady Black says, Five Guys is that expensive? Do you have a Five Guys in your area? It's more expensive than even like local restaurants that sell hamburgers. Like it's that expensive. I could go to, like, for example, I have to be careful what stores I say because I don't want to give out exactly what area of LA I live in case they don't have other ones. But I'll just say a famous hamburger restaurant that you could just go into the restaurant, order a hamburger, and it comes with fries, and then you can get that whole meal for less than just the cheeseburger at Five Guys. It's more expensive than a restaurant. Walmart? Yeah. I joined late just to say hello. It's always about food at the end of the live. You can tell what I care about the most in life is, it's not Korean, it's food. No, I love Korean, but yeah, I'm obsessed with food. Just don't get Billy started on Mexican food in Korea. Don't get me started on that. Don't get me started on any foreign food in Korea, though. It's not exclusive to Mexican food. It's the same with Vietnamese food is another one that bugs me because you can buy. Who likes pho? I love pho. There are some things in pho that make it pho, that make it unique. Is it cilantro? No, it's Thai. It's basil. It's Thai basil. You know what I'm talking about? Like there's like the green stuff. I don't know if it's cilantro or something else. I think there's also there's like a Thai basil or something in there as well. There's something different. It's like, I think it's Thai basil. Anyway, it could be cilantro in some of them, but I think typically it's like Thai basil. It's like a really fragrant basil that you can get. And then hoisin sauce, which is like the Chinese fragrant sauce that has like the 5-star seasoning, the spice in it, and also kind of like makes your mouth like feel a little bit like numbish. It's like really strong, but it normally has these things in it that you add to it, and the soup is just really fragrant, right? And pho has lots of meat in it, so you eat it and you feel legitimately full. It's not just all noodles. Korea has pho. In fact, they call it salguksu, literally rice noodles. And Korean pho is good. It's legitimately a nice dish. It's the rice noodles. There's some meat in it. There's some bean sprouts in it. Like, it's good, but it's not the same as real pho, because real pho would have a lot of meat in it. Whatever kind of meat you get, it would have a lot. The Korean one will have like a few bites of it because it's more expensive. They can't get away with charging you $6 for this, or 8,000 won or 10,000 won, because they would lose money. They're not going to put hoisin sauce in it because Koreans hate that the first time they try it. It's weird because you don't have anything like that in Korea. And they definitely aren't going to put these in there because they have a really strong flavor and smell. In fact, I think one time I was even allergic to this. Like, I like it, but I think one time I had an allergic reaction after eating it just because it's so fragrant, so strong. And then a lime, which is also kind of classy. You get like lime in there, so it's like, a little bit sour, really fragrant, hot, spicy, lots of meat. It's like this experience when you eat it. And restaurants will legitimately be called Vietnamese salguksu, Vietnamese pho. I've seen restaurants actually called Vietnam salguksu. Like, they're advertising that they have legitimate Vietnamese pho. And it is not. It is just the exact same as what you can get anywhere else. Korean style pho, which is, like I said, less meat. And then instead of cilantro and Thai basil, they have to put something. So what they end up using is pa, which is a bunch of chopped green onions. They kind of do that to fill the space where you expect there to be something green. And they're good, but the flavor you get is so different. Some places, if you go, if you ask, they'll give you cilantro. But I've never been to a place that also has hoisin sauce. It's just off the menu. Like, they don't even carry it. I don't know. Maybe there's some place in Seoul that will have legitimate pho made by Vietnamese people. But no, the stuff I have, it's not. And it's not exclusive to any one country. It's just in general, you won't find a lot of legitimate any foreign food in Korea. Like I said, there are always some exceptions, but you'll pay for those exceptions. You get what you pay for. You're going to hear food rants about every kind of food because I'm from LA and we have all of it. Obviously, we don't have the best of everything. You're going to find, a better bagel in New York, better pizza in New York. You're going to find better Vietnamese food in Vietnam, right? But you'll still have legitimate food from other countries because we have communities of those people that live in LA. You'll have like Thai communities. So you can get legitimate Thai food if you go to that area where they hang out. So it's the same with any kind of food here. Xandria says, I've been teaching in Korea for 2 months, but I don't have my art card, so I don't have my own internet. I'm using the schools to catch you before class starts. I'll be more active when I do. Wow, that's very interesting. Welcome to Korea. Spring onion, it's mint. No, I'm not talking about mint. Although, yeah, some of them do have mint, but the Thai varieties I've had have mint. The Vietnamese varieties, they have, I think it's Thai basil, but like I said, I might be wrong, but it's not mint. It's like a strong, fragrant type of herb. Because there are different types of those types of noodle dishes for each country. There's so pretty darn fine sushi in Tijuana. There might be. Yeah, do you go to, like, does anyone think of sushi when they think of like Montana, for example? Oh man, the absence of ocean really makes the fish taste like, obviously they're going to have sushi restaurants in Montana. I'm sure that they're fine, but it's not the first thing you think of. You're probably not going to have some world-class Japanese chef set up shop in Montana. And then maybe there is now and I look stupid, but it's not going to be common that you're going to find like legitimate foreign food in Korea just because you'd have to sell it for a lot more money to get those exact ingredients. And then you're also fighting against your own clientele because Korean taste buds aren't used to those tastes. And it's not even that, just they don't want that. They want something that is going to match what they're used to. So you're going to sell more if you make it adjusted to Koreans' taste there aren't going to be enough of the original people who want that food to stay in business. Whereas here, you're going to get plenty of Vietnamese people or people who know that actual flavor that are going to want it. There, you'd have to rely on a Vietnamese community to be able to stay in business, and they might not want to spend that much money to get their actual pho. They would just make it themselves. I'm from Montana. I'm sorry. Is there a really good sushi restaurant near where you live? I'm sure there are sushi restaurants there. It's just not the first thing you think of. Oh, Montana, they got the best sushi in the West. I ate excellent Japanese food in Hawaii. That is literally because there is a gigantic Japanese population in Hawaii. It's like Japanese over there is like Spanish in California. A huge amount of Japanese people settled into Hawaii. So yeah, that's why you're going to find, in fact, most of the restaurants you're going to find in Hawaii that are recommended for tourists is going to be Japanese food and then Hawaiian food. Like, you want to go to a luau and get like actual Hawaiian barbecue and stuff, which is delicious. But a lot of the recommended restaurants are going to be Japanese restaurants over there. Oh my goodness, my tablet just died. I've been streaming too long today. I think that's my sign to end soon, because now I have to check the chat by looking over here. So I should end soon. Haruno says, I've never eaten sushi. Well, there you go. It's not a traditional Montana delicacy. Although I do know you have what is it? Mountain clams. What's it called? What's it called? There's something else. Something else that maybe I can't even say on stream. Rocky Mountain something. My friend said there's a bunch of Filipino food restaurants in Busan. Okay, there might be a Filipino community there that has some Filipino food. Some of the Filipino food I've had wasn't that far off from like some Korean dishes I've seen. Oh, Filipino food's another one that's really good. I don't know enough about Filipino food though to rant about it. I only know a few items that I really like. Lumpias, those egg rolls, which I know aren't really Filipino egg rolls, but they're a part of Filipino food so much that you might as well call them that. I guess they're Shanghai or something is where they're from. Rocky Mountain oyster, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I've never tried. I don't really want to. Let's see. I actually need to get up for school in a few hours, so I'm gonna head to bed now. All right, I should leave too. I'm sorry for taking all your time, but I'm so appreciative though that there are not only more people now than there were like an hour ago when I started just talking about food. I guess you guys like this sort of random chat just about anything. Someone said I've never eaten Rocky Mountain oysters and I never will. I'm not opposed to it. I'm not gonna search it out and pay a bunch of money for it. If someone else buys it for me, like, I don't care. Why not? If does it taste good? Is it ethical? Sure, I'll eat it. That's my only like rule for myself about eating something. Is it going to make me sick? No. Oh, sure. Okay, I'll try it. I've eaten worse. There's a bunch of Filipino food down there. Oh yeah, well, I mean, we have literally everything. You can name some random culture and there's going to be a restaurant for it or multiple restaurants for it. Yeah, there are several Filipino places not even far from my house, so I can get Filipino food whenever I want. The thing is, I really like Filipino food. My wife wasn't a big fan of it. My kid liked it, so I have to go eat it when my wife has some other lunch plans that day. Then I can, if I feel like it that day, I can bring my kid and go eat it. Filipino fruit salad. Oh my God. Anyone who knows what I'm talking about, fruit salad. If you don't know what I'm talking about, get it. Another one is Jollibee chicken. That is, if I can pick any fried chicken franchise to represent the US, I'll pick Jollibee. I know it's not American, but if Filipinos will let me take it and show it off to Koreans and say, this is the kind of fried chicken we have in America, I think we've got a good contender against some of the Korean fried chicken. If you compare it with Jollibee's. Jollibee's with the, like some mashed potatoes and gravy, and you dip the chicken in it and eat it. Sip a little bit of the gravy. This is another level above like KFC or the other types of fried chicken you can get, really. It's a little better than Popeyes, which I think Popeyes is pretty good, but it's a little better than that. Just because the outside of the Jollibee chicken is a little bit thinner. It seems like they put more thought into making the chicken taste juicy versus other places where they're trying to just make it as big as possible. Jollibee makes the chicken itself like marinated really well and then fry it without making it too oily, and they get it really hot so it's like extra crispy, but the inside's juicy. Oh, so good. Yeah, anyway, that's enough. Next book from Go Billy, World Food Best Dishes. Yes. Jollibee is good, but their spaghetti is way too... I don't like their spaghetti. I mean, it's a thing. If you have like nostalgia over... I think most of the people who get it have nostalgia from eating it as a child. They kind of like, oh, I grew up eating this a lot. It kind of brings back memories. I like the taste. It's like SpaghettiOs. It doesn't really taste that good, but if you have memories associated with it, then it's enjoyable to eat it. But yeah, I wasn't a huge fan of spaghetti, but I did absolutely love the pies, the mango. It was like mango peach or something like that. That was really good. Yeah, spaghetti though, spaghetti wasn't that great. It was just okay. Basically, just get the fried chicken at Jollibee's. That's it. Just get their fried chicken and get mashed potatoes with gravy. They have like a set item. They have like a set that you can get that literally just has like 2 pieces of chicken, mashed potatoes, and gravy. Just get that. My mom didn't even know what a peanut butter and jelly sandwich was, so I haven't tried many foods. Okay, that's the new one. All right, that's enough for today. I have earned $135. Wow. That will pay for my electric bill for this entire week, I'm sure. Thank you everyone for coming. Thank you for coming, and I will see you again next time. Remember, there is no live stream next week though. At least there's no lesson. I won't say there's no live stream. So any of you heard it here. I might do a live stream. I'm not sure. I might though. But there's no lesson for next week. But I'll have brand new voting options when we do the next vote. And I will see you again next time. Kram, 다음에 또 봐.